much because all the kids are going, what are they laughing at?
Okay, we're live. What are we laughing at?
The laughter tracks,
Laughter
and the
tracks.
reason that they're crap on programs that are
And I thought we
filmed
were talking about
on
Shrek.
a set.
Well, yes, and then Shrek, but Shrek, like I said, was very clever that they put in jokes that only the parents who had taken the kids to the cinema, only the parents would get those jokes, and when I went, it worked.
But didn't that go back to a lot of even back to cartoon days, with Donald Ducks and all them that have adult jokes in them blended into the.
Well, remember that a lot of these old cartoons, think of when they actually first came out. Some of the cartoons you're watching came out during the Second World War.
Yeah,
And not long after. You went to the cinema to watch these things. They weren't intended for children.
No, the reason why there seems to be a lot of anti-German propaganda in a lot of those Warner Brother cartoons, and even some of the Disney stuff, is that they were made during the war.
Yep. During the war.
And it is propaganda.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I remember a time when Teenage Mutant Ninja Death Turtles was an adult-rated cartoon strip.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Has Paul posted his question yet?
Not yet. I'm getting there.
Oh, he hasn't even posted. Oh, yeah, there he is.
A C and a B.
B.
And they're short names.
C something B, short names. Okay.
Yes, don't mention the war. I did, but I think I got away with
don't
it.
mention the war, Stevie. Chad Black. Cilla Black.
Well, it's Dave's brother. It's Chaz.
Oh, Chaz Black. Okay. Chris Berry.
Oh, I can't believe you just said that.
I was chatting earlier to somebody who had a restaurant in London in 1982 that was staffed pretty much exclusively by Spaniards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was, don't mention Argentina.
Yeah.
So,
I can imagine.
while you're talking,
Too soon to be talking about the war. Which war?
okay, what's that one?
The Peninsular War?
Yeah, I like this Peninsula War. That's pretty good.
Hey, let's all go to Badajoz.
To what?
Badajoz. We could all be in the Forlorn Hope.
Yeah, or Salamanca,
Sally Banker, yeah.
which I believe is how the British troops of the day referred to that city.
Well, you can always tell when the British are involved. Look at the First World War. Wipers.
Yeah.
Because that's how it's spelled, not Ypres. Let's call it Wipers. Because it starts with a Y. We've already had a punt at the name.
Yeah, Rimfrondel. That was a bit before the Peninsular War, because that was 17 something or other. We relieved the Spanish of that place.
Yeah, they didn't really want it.
And it was confirmed by several different treaties over the years.
Yeah, and they can't have it back.
Because I think it was mentioned again in the Treaty of Vienna.
Oh, Vienna.
That was a song.
Yeah, I couldn't resist.
Yeah, I'm going to say I won't try singing.
The greatest number one that never was.
Who sung that?
What?
Ultravox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant over-the-top video to it. Completely.
I'm trying to think.
bonkers.
So what stupid song stopped that from getting to number one then?
Oh, shut up your face.
Okay. I knew it had to be some. I knew it had to be something like that.
That stopped one of the most bonkers over the top songs of that era ever getting the number one. It so deserved to get the number one. And some prat putting on a dodgy foreign accent and calling himself Joe Dolce. Oh dear. Yeah, shut up your face. He was American Australian.
American is bad.
He was. He was born in the States, but I think he grew up and lived in Australia.
Don't mind me, I'm
Stop
just
it.
trying to make it fit.
That's what she said. What? Oh, really, Zebulon, you think Paul's going to spend all of his time knelt under his desk? He said, Paul, get that big head out of the way. What's the matter, Zebulon? You don't know how to... Oh, no, I'm not even going to go there. Because she's just teasing anyway.
Right, I've got it to fit. Now can I make it bigger?
Oh, God. Yes, but if you do that, it won't fit anymore again, will it?
She asked me for a double entendre, so I gave her one.
I think that's as big as it's going to get. No, that's too big. I have to make it smaller. There we go. That's the best of it.
Oh dear, oh dear.
They guessing the name?
We've had... Oh, here we go. There's the clue.
Okay. This industrial chemist claimed the Nobel Prize for developing... Okay. Not even going to attempt that one.
Developing high-pressure industrial chemical processes. He founded IG Farben, one of the world's largest chemical companies. I've heard of them.
Never.
Yeah, they made a product called Zyklon B, didn't they?
They did indeed, yes. I'm fairly certain that was them. Most of the big German companies that are still around now that everybody's familiar with, an awful lot of them were involved with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I know somebody who visited a German firearms manufacturing company, and that was still family owned from from the 1930s, and the question the question was asked, oh, what did the company do during the war? And it was like, oh, well, they made pots and pans for the Wehrmacht. At which point this person went, oh, that's interesting, because that certificate on your wall says you made 88mm cannons.
Cannons and pots and pans.
You know, I mean, you can't blame the company for doing that. I mean, that's what was being expected of them. You know, it's just like BSA were making all sorts of military stuff, and but it was like, oh no, we didn't make guns during the war. We only made like non-military. No, because those old certificates up there say you were making 88mm barrel, 88mm guns.
Would that be the companies whose originator's first name was basically Freddie?
No, hang on. Let me DM it to. I'll DM it directly to you.
Because there's one of two names that are associated with that there weapon.
Yeah, no, this was. It's not IB. That company.
Oh.
I always struggle with spelling German companies that have EI in them, because I always want to put the E as IE.
Looks like Roomfundle has it.
Ta-da!
I had the right first name, but I just couldn't think of the second name.
What?
Carl.
Bish Bash. Bish Bash.
Bish Bash. No, it wasn't Bish Bash Bosh.
Were they involved in making the 88mm flak? Because I've got that down as crap and
I
Rhine
believe
metal.
they made bits of it.
Ah,
Yeah, because you've got to remember, Rheinmetall designed it and built it initially, but then sort of during the war, contracts were given to lots of companies to actually produce.
yes.
And it very much in the same way stuff happened over here. All sorts of people, you know. That's like most of the Enfield rifles were built by BSA.
Yeah.
And hardly any number 4s were built by Enfield during the war because Enfield was too busy building Bren guns. Anyway, we need to change the subject again, don't we?
During the war.
That's your fault, Paul, because you mentioned IG Farben.
Yeah, well, it was Karl Bosch's partner, Fritz Haber. They invented the Haber-Bosch nitrogen fixing process to make ammonia from air, from the nitrogen in the air. So a very important development that was. But yeah, like you say, they were also involved, especially Fritz Haber. He was also involved in the development of chemical weapons for the Germans. Yeah. And I believe his wife committed suicide because she didn't like that fact.
Well, could have just got a divorce. With suicide, that's a bit, you know.
Yeah.
Mind you, that did seem to be very popular at the time.
I knew I had. Bit hard.
What?
Bit hard to hear me if I was muted.
Oh, were you talking to yourself again?
Yes.
Oh, I told you about that.
That's probably why he let you and me carry on talking for so damn long. He was
Why are
trying
they
to tell us
ignoring
to
me?
stop.
Oh yeah, that's
I
why
know.
they're
I
ignoring me.
switched over the thing in here for the internal to show you the thing, and there was a gap in the conversation, and I went for the gap, so that didn't give me any triggers because you weren't talking at the same time I did, so it didn't go. Okay, they can't hear me.
And it would appear that the YouTube stream has frozen.
That is because Terry is showing us the thing internally, and when you do that, it minimizes the window that it's looking at, which of course makes it freeze. We discovered this a couple of weeks ago.
Unless I share it out there straight away.
Right, no, with you. Sorry. Just somebody said, "Oh, the video's stuck," and I just moved my Zoom meeting window aside and went, "So it has."
Yeah, that's because that's because of course when you do this, when you share, it minimizes the Zoom meeting window, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it does if you're doing everything on one screen. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean if you do the thing, it will minimize the window even if you've got dual screens.
Very right.
But yeah,
that's strange because in my Zoom meeting window, Paul hasn't frozen, or more particularly, oh, there he goes. No, well, Paul hadn't frozen, but the lady behind him definitely hadn't frozen.
Okay.
She's been jiggling away all this time.
Yeah. Well, Paul is very good at sitting very still, isn't he?
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
Phil said, "Tell Paul that looks like too much fun behind him."
Well, I'm sure if it was real, we wouldn't be able to see Paul's face at all because he'd just turned round.
Yeah, you're
If
facing,
it
you're
was
facing
real-
the wrong way, Paul.
If it was real, I'd be streaming like this.
Yeah.
Exactly. All we'd see is the back of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd be talking like this.
Yeah.
Oh
What are
dear.
you mumbling for,
You-
Paul?
But Paul, you do realise that Kenny Everett did it first.
Yeah.
And in the best possible taste.
Taste with Cleo Rocos.
Oh yes.
Ah, the good old days. When you
Yep.
could do things without people questioning it.
Yeah, you wouldn't get away with that now. Too many people would say, "I'm offended," to which
Yeah.
you should say,
Yeah.
"And
Don't
watch it then.
Don't watch
Yeah.
it.
don't watch it."
Driving a Sherman tank through London.
That's brilliant.
I need to park. Oh, I'll park here.
Crunch. Yep. I'd rather have something a bit heavier.
Why did we find the thought of that so hilarious in the 1970s?
I still find it funny now.
Well, true.
Like when Mr. Bean's car got crushed by the tank.
Yep.
That was a classic.
What was that? What was that bloody character called? Got to have a look now.
I hope this is not going to be too long to read. It was either this one or a really short one. I couldn't find a Goldilocks one.
Oh, it is a bit long, isn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't find an in between. It was either too long or too short.
Yeah, that's not very good. The Wikipedia one looks weird because it's
Yeah.
just basically the map.
Yeah, I got I
and
got
the
the
other
map
one-
from there.
And the other one looks like it's even longer because it's a book and it's like 50 chapters. Oh, sorry, 50 illustrations.
Oh yeah, this one does go on a bit. doesn't it?
13 chapters, an epilogue, and then appendices A through D, and references and acknowledgements of illustrations, and then an index.
Ah, before I do share, sorry, I better bring up that other image I need. 'Cause it's no good talking about them if you don't know who we're talking about or what he did. Now I gotta find it now.
I'm gonna make a guess that he might have done some exploring of a continental island.
That'd be a pretty good guess to make.
Well, his name was used in naming a few things over here.
Could he?
No.
Could he not spell?
Why is that?
Can't help but thinking his surname's missing an A.
No, because he's from the good old Dorset family of Sturt.
Oh yeah.
It's also related to the Napiers.
I was just looking at it and thought, oh yeah, Napier. Yeah.
Another of the another good old Dorset family.
Got the wrong image. Yeah, Sturt, Hume and Hovell expeditions is the one I was trying to do, but I think I got the wrong one.
Oh.
Up another.
That other one just goes on and on and on, doesn't it? No.
Okay, I'll use that one.
So was Hovell embarrassed every time he had guests around?
Don't know.
Oh.
Does that come through or is that too big?
'Tis but a humble abode.
Yes.
Make it a bit smaller. Screwed up that one.
Oh, was Professor Phil trying to educate Jin? Because absolute waste of time that is.
So we've got Sturt's route, Human Hobble's route. Different dotted lines. I can't see the dotted lines very good down there. Also from
Oh, they're a
Melbourne.
bit close together, yeah.
Yeah, it went from Melbourne up through where Canberra is now. Where's his any others? It looks like he followed the Murrumbidgee River and a bit of the Murray River over to Adelaide. Okay. They've done a bit of exploration. Doesn't say the year on that one, does it? No.
What, Sturt's route? No.
No.
It says 1824. So it looks like Sturt just followed the river.
I don't
If
know.
I remember correctly, doesn't the Murray River run basically from the coast into the interior and then into some bloody big lake?
No. It empties into the ocean.
Okay. In South Australia.
It's basically the border between New South Wales and Victoria as well.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I found myself looking at a Napier Sabre engine.
Yeah.
Oh, H16.
H24.
Oh, even.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Just as soon as I saw Napier, I thought, oh, big fuck off engines.
I can't read that. I'm glad you can.
Well, only because.
Alright. I'll go back to there. So Sturt, without the E, Charles, 1795, 1869. By H.J. Gibney. It was published in the biography, volume 267, online in 2006. Now, we don't want to view the previous version. That might have been longer.
This one's long enough.
I was going to say, do you want to skip the early part of his life and just go from when he arrived in Australia?
Have you got anything that you can go by if you've already got it opened?
So, I'd probably go down to, considering you're talking about his expeditions, the start of the third paragraph.
1, 2.
1, 2, 3. What, soon after his arrival or the next one?
Yeah. Could even go to the next one.
There was something about Ozzie Wood, the governor, had agreed to his heading on expedition in the interior. Of course, Sir Ralph Darling, which we heard of Darling River.
Oh, come on, he had to be a captain.
Oh, okay.
He had no name like that. He had to be a captain. That's in the captain diary.
So you want to go from a November the 1828?
Probably be a reasonable point to talk about his things, since that was when he doing the things we want to know about.
Yeah. So on 4th of November 1828, Sturt received approval to proceed with his proposal to trace the course of the Macquarie River. Prudently, he selected as his assistant the native-born Hamilton Hume, who had already shared leadership of a major expedition to the south coast. With 3 soldiers and 8 convicts, Sturt left Sydney on the 10th of November. Hume joined them at Bathurst, and after collecting equipment from the government station at Wellington Valley, they moved on 7th of December to what became virtually the base camp at Mount Harris. On 22nd December, the expedition started down the Macquarie through country blasted by drought and searing heat. Having unsuccessfully tried to use a light boat on the 31st of December, Sturt and Hume began independent reconnaissance in which Hume established the limits of the Macquarie marshes and Sturt examined the country across the Bogan River. That's where the word Bogan comes from. I knew it come from somewhere.
Yep.
They then proceeded north along the Bogan, and on 2nd of February came suddenly on a noble river flowing to the west. Sturt named it the Darling. Unhappily, its waters were undrinkable, at that point because of salty springs. Well, I wouldn't have known that. They followed the Darling downstream until 9th of February. They returned to Mount Harris and from there traced the Castle Ray northward until it too joined the Darling. They then returned to Wellington Valley down the eastern side of the Macquarie Marshes, having sketched in the main outlines of the northern river system and discovered the previously unknown Darling River. The expedition, however, had discovered no extensive good country. Although Sturt was ill on his return to Sydney, he was scrupulous in recommending the convicts in his party for such indulgences as the colonial government could grant. Darling granted some remissions of sentence and in his dispatches commended Sturt's patience and zeal. The Darling River had offered a new challenge, and Sturt soon sought permission to lead another expedition to trace the Darling to its assumed outlet in the inland sea. However, it was decided instead that he should investigate the Lachlan-Murrumbidgee River system discovered by Oxley and proceed to the Darling only if the Murrumbidgee proved impassable. See, we missed a bit of key part of that story. They thought there was an inland sea for some reason. I don't know why, but they were assuming that there was an inland sea and they were all looking for it. Probably because of the rivers, because they all flowed from the mountains towards the inland. So I probably thought that there must have been an inland sea.
Well, you've got Lake Eyre, which is bloody huge, haven't you?
Yeah.
Huge is an understatement.
I mean, you know, as I understood it, at one time, Lake Chad was the largest lake in the world. But Lake Eyre is sort of similar size, isn't it?
Well, the Eyre Basin, not Lake Eyre itself, but the Eyre Basin covers essentially about 1/6 of Australia. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rarely is it ever all full, but you know.
Where was I? Now I've lost my spot.
In Wollongong.
You're starting on the paragraph on 3rd November 1829, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On the 3rd of November 1829, the second expedition left Sydney. In Sturt's party were George Macleay, son of the Colonial Secretary, Harris, Hopkins, Fraser and Clayton, who had all been in his first expedition, and several soldiers and convicts. They moved through country which was partly settled until 28th of November, when they left Warby Station near Gundagai, which was then the limit of settlement, and set off into the unknown country. After many crossings of the Murrumbidgee to find suitable tracks for the drays, they moved down the north bank of the river and on Christmas Day arrived at its junction with the Lachlan. Their different marshes raised the question whether they should follow the governor's instructions or go to the Darling. Since the Murrumbidgee was still fairly clear, Stuart decided to use the whaleboat which he had brought with him. What, they brought it over land? A whaleboat?
Yeah,
Must have done, yeah.
yeah. Well,
That's as bad as the camels and the table, farmer.
Yeah, I know.
We brought an oak table. They stepped up a bit. Now they've got a boat.
Yeah.
Well, they did have drays, so they were there. They had big carts.
They weren't manhandling it, were they?
No, and I mean a whaleboat's not huge, is it? I mean whaleboats are like 12, 15 feet, I think.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, but camels with the oak table on its back, that was different.
Hey, not just camels, but pissed camels.
Oh, that's right. They had the rum for the camels because that helped.
Why is there never any rum? Yeah, because you gave it all to the camels.
Yeah, that's it.
Like bastard, they.
Okay, since the Murrumbidgee was still fairly clear, Sturt decided to use the whaleboat which he had brought with him and to build a small skiff from local timber. On 7th of January 1830, they set out with 7 men in the 2 boats on the Murrumbidgee. Apart from the complete loss of the skiff, okay, that's sad. They lost the skiff. Soon after embarkation, the journey was uneventful until 14th of January, when the rapid current of the Murrumbidgee carried them to a broad and noble river, which Sturt later named in honour of Sir George Murray. I wonder if that's the Murray River.
I'm going to guess it probably is the Murray River.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but you'll see the broad and noble river? Like you have a look at the river today, you wouldn't use the word broad and noble in the description.
Yeah. But I mean, it's. I'm guessing it's the Murray River because I don't think you've got a river called George, have you?
No.
And it's not broad, but it's not broad and noble anymore. Oh shit. Bugger! I lost my spot again. Oh, there we go. Sir George Murray, Secretary of State for the Colonies. Further down the Murray, they had 2 threatening encounters with Aboriginals. Oh no! And on the 23rd of January, came to a new large stream flowing in from the north. Oh. After rowing up it for a few miles, Sturt was convinced that it was the Darling, and returned to the Murray. An uneventful voyage brought them on 9th of February to Lake Alexandrina, whence they walked over the sandhills to the southern coast. They reached the channel where the lake entered the sea, but were dismayed to find it impracticable for shipping. I don't know what word they're trying to use for that. It didn't mean that. Depressed by failing to find either an effective inland waterway or the ship which Darling had promised to send from Sydney, Sturt now faced the appalling prospect of rowing more than 900 miles against a strong current with his weary men and certain food shortage. They began the return journey on the 12th of February and on the 23rd of March arrived at the Murrumbidgee depot, only to find it deserted by the base party which had been left there. The starving crew struggled on until 11th of April, where Sturt abandoned the boat and sent 2 men to seek the relief party, which he believed to be near. A week later, the 2 men returned with supplies, and the revived expedition reached Sydney safely on the 25th of May. Gee, back then, you can't imagine the hardships and trekking they did in comparison to today, when you've got take it for granted you jump in the car and just drive from A to B. We'll get there in 5 minutes, and it takes them 5 weeks.
Yeah, quite.
I mean, even Sydney to Adelaide, it don't take that long to drive, does it?
No, not really. Not
Depends on what you mean by too long.
really.
Well, well, although saying that, I guess the way the roads work in Australia is quite a bit. It's quite a bit longer to drive to from Sydney to Adelaide, since you basically follow the coast line.
No,
You don't have
No.
to go inland, but it still is a fairly long way.
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah,
England, Alan, where you got to drive halfway around the countryside to get from A to B.
Yeah, but what is it? About 1,500 kilometres from Sydney to Adelaide.
Yeah, that'd be about right.
I only worked that out from the fact that I'm guessing that the Murray River comes out in southern Australia, in South Australia, somewhere near Adelaide.
It does. Not close to Adelaide, but yeah.
But that's nowhere near if you were to drive from Sydney to Adelaide, Alan.
Comes out on the coast in a place called the Coorong.
Okay, I apologise, but my Australian geography is not that great.
If I travelled almost west and a little bit south of west, I'd hit Adelaide.
Okay. Yeah, you see also, of course, the fact that how big the Great Australian Bight is another one of those things that
Yeah.
I think us non-natives don't necessarily grasp so well.
Have we got much to go?
Yeah. Got a fair chunk to go yet.
Oh, bugger. Now I've lost my spot.
No, you're there.
Oh,
Although an interim, that's the paragraph you want.
that's the one I was up to. Well, I'll try to read one or two more paragraphs,
Okay.
and then I'll have to bow out.
Yep.
Although an interim dispatch carried by Macleay in advance of the main party had been published in the Sydney Gazette, Darling did not report to England on the expedition until February 1831. Meanwhile, Sturt, after a short illness, had been sent to Norfolk Island as commandant of the garrison. There he took part in the rescue of the occupants of a wrecked boat, and though active in quelling a convict mutiny, had nevertheless earned the respect even of the mutineers for his generally humane outlook. In July he was relieved by F.C. Crotty, captain in the 39th Regiment.
Because he was a lieutenant in the 39th. That's one of the things we skipped.
Sturt's return to Sydney was delayed by illness until October. Already there, he had proposals to send him to New Zealand as resident or on another journey to the Darling, but his health was so bad that he was immediately granted leave to go to England. Okay, so he's so ill, he was granted leave to go to England. Okay. On the voyage, his eyesight, which had been failing, broke down completely, leaving him totally blind. While undergoing crude but moderately successful treatment for his condition, he published an account of his two journeys. After many petitions to the Colonial Office, was promised a grant of 5,000 acres in New South Wales, on condition that he sold his commission and renounced all other rights arising from his military service. On 20th of September 1834, he married Charlotte Green, the daughter of an old family friend.
Yeah, because back in those days, when you left, if you had a proper full commission in a regiment, you would sell it, and I think the lieutenant's commission was worth about 500 guineas. So, Yeah. It was a handy little nest egg.
I think I can squeeze one more bit out, and then that'll be it for me. Sturt sailed with his wife and arrived at Sydney in mid-1835. With intentions of settling down to a country life, he located his grant at Ginninderra, near Canberra, in June, and in August bought 1950 acres at Mittagong, which is just over the mountain here, where he lived for 2 years. In this time, he was appointed a Justice of the Peace, become a passive member of the governing body of the Australian Museum, and was recommended unsuccessfully for appointment to the Legislative Council, and christened his first child Napier George. Early in 1837, he bought 1,000 acres at Varraville, between Liverpool and Campbelltown, where he soon established another home. I've pushed
It's a
it.
decent size, 1,000 acres.
Yeah. Well, back then there was plenty of land.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Your turn?
I'll take
in
over.
1838.
Yep. In 1838, financial difficulties forced him to sell his Mittagong property and induced him to join in a venture for overlanding cattle to South Australia. Although in the process he was able to add something to knowledge of the Murray River, the journey almost ended in disaster. Breeding cows in the herd delayed the party, and it ran short of supplies and had to be rescued by his friend Edward John Eyre. The venture was also a financial failure. Stuart was greeted in Adelaide by flattering attention, which brought balm to his pride injured by recent failures. Incautiously, he became associated with an attempted land transaction, which some colonists thought was questionable. On the 30th of October, he returned to Sydney to learn of the birth of his second son, Charles. That's okay, as long as he'd been there for the conception. You've got a second son. Oh, really? In Adelaide, he had been invited to join the South Australian Public Service, and on the 8th of November 1838 was formally offered the position of Surveyor General. I'm not going to do it. Despite his lack of technical qualifications, and some doubts about Governor George Gawler's power to make the appointment, he accepted, sold his property in New South Wales, and sailed with his family for Adelaide on the 27th of February 1839. In spite of sickness and continuing financial worries, all seemed to go well. The first shattering blow came in September, when Lieutenant Edward Frome arrived from London with a commission as Surveyor General. Gawler, in a loyal attempt to help Sturt, appointed him Assistant Commissioner of Lands, although at a reduced salary. In November, he and his wife joined Gawler in what was intended to be a short excursion up the Murray River. On his expedition, a young man lost his life and the governor was placed in serious danger. Although Sturt was not responsible, the tragedy affected him deeply.
Sorry.
Right?
Yeah. I'm guessing
sorry,
that farmers like me just was reading it out of his own.
Correct. Yeah, I've got it on the other screen.
Where was I up to? I can't see.
Go down. The next paragraph will be in 1841, so you need to scroll down a bit. There we go. That's it. Wonderful. In 1841, Sturt was offered the resident management of the South Australian Company, but refused. Soon afterwards, he committed what was probably the most serious error of judgment in his life. He became a flat earther. No. When news arrived that Captain George Grey was to replace Gawler as governor, Sturt wrote to the Colonial Office complaining of Grey's youth and offering himself as an alternative candidate for vice-regal office. Grey, who could not tolerate opposition, never forgave him this clumsy affront. From that time, Sturt's affairs worsened. Grey confirmed his provisional appointment as Assistant Commissioner, but later refused him the office of Colonial Secretary on the grounds that his sight was too poor. The Colonial Office then decided to abolish the Assistant Commissionership, leaving Sturt with the inferior post of Registrar General at a much lower salary. To a man of Sturt's temperament, the situation was now intolerable. He was at loggerheads with the governor, deeply in debt, inadequately paid, and could see no hope of improving his prospects. He petitioned the colonial office for financial compensation or transfer to another colony. When refused, he decided that the only course left to him was to establish by some bold stroke a claim on the government for special consideration. His best chance of doing this was in exploration, and since he still believed in the existence of an inland sea, he prepared a grandiose plan for exploring and surveying, within 2 years, the entire unknown interior of the continent. And in 1843, forwarded it to the colonial office through his old friend, Sir Ralph Darling. Whilst waiting for a reply, he and Gray had a series of minor clashes, which culminated in Sturt's censure by the Executive Council for an incautious letter. In May 1844, the Secretary of State rejected Sturt's original plan, but approved a more limited proposal to penetrate the centre of the continent in an attempt to establish the existence of a mountain range near latitude 28 degrees south.
Well, so he gave up on the inland sea, but he said that there was a mountain range.
Yeah.
I have to have a look to see where 28 south is.
I think they said that there was a...
Yes, they did.
range.
I don't think it was his idea. He wanted to chart the entire interior of the country, and they went, well, hang on a minute. Yeah, how about you do this instead? You know? Yeah. Because that does seem a tad ambitious.
Alan, have a look and see where 28 south is.
Hang on, let me go up Google Earth and then I can show it for you.
We'll leave that with you.
Just one moment.
Okay, right.
Just one moment. It takes a few moments for Google Earth to fire up.
I'll do the. On the 10th of August, 1844, Sturt left Adelaide with 15 men, 6 drays, a boat, and 200 sheep. Missed the rum.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
A pear tree, exactly. In 8 days, the party reached Mirundi and then followed the Murray River to its junction with the Darling. Yeah, your teeth keep playing up. And up the Darling. Mrs. Where's Frankie Howard when you need him? Up the Darling to the vicinity of Lake Corndilla?
Yes, close enough.
Yeah. Okay. Bloody names. Where they camped for 2 months. Oh, yeah, no rush. 2 months. Making several scouting expeditions. Just don't mention rum. They couldn't have a lot of it. Expeditions into and beyond the Barrier Range. In December, the party was short of water. I think that means rum. And some of the men showed signs of scurvy. But they moved further north into the Grey Range. There they made a camp on permanent water, fortunately found at Depot Glen on Preservation Creek. By that time, summer heat had dried up all other water within reach, and from the 27th of January, 1845, to the 16th of July, they were literally trapped in inhospitable country. Men and equipment suffered terribly from the heat, and Sturt's second in command, James Poole, died of scurvy. Wow. Well,
didn't they know about limes and all that? Didn't they have any of that?
Maybe they just didn't have, adequate supplies.
Yeah.
If you would like to see where that is, I have Google Earth open now. If you would like to let me share quickly.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, screen 2.
I just wanted to see whereabouts this was, where they were.
So, I think I need to put. No, not that one.
What was it? 28, wasn't it?
Yeah, 28 south.
Places, and switch places on as well, so that I end up seeing.
28 south.
So
that's only half a coordinate, really.
No, 28 south is up.
Yeah, we haven't got east, we've only got south. But we know the general
28. 28 south is that line there where my cursor is.
So somewhere along there, they're saying that there was a mountain range somewhere.
Well, they thought there was.
They assumed that there was.
Ah, okay.
So,
But you can see that whole area was is the basin.
Yeah.
Where it like.
So is this the Murray? Is this the? Is this the
No, that'd be the Darling or the Murrumbidgee. One of them two.
Okay.
Yeah, I should have had a look at the
So
normal
which
map.
one's going to be the Dar?
It's up in there somewhere. It's one of those rivers.
I don't know why I'm not getting the. This is the river that is the border between.
That's the Murray. Yeah. That's the Murray River.
Is it Victor? I take this is Victoria here, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is New South Wales here.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the Murray then, is it? This river here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the one that runs up the back of New South Wales, I forget if it was the Murrumbidgee or the Darling.
Okay, so this one here is the Murrumbidgee or the Darling.
Yeah, you can see part of it there.
Mm.
The one that's in contention with the Chinese damming for the farms and taking so much percentage away of water, which is not fair on the
go
rest
exploring that place. Look at the state of that.
Anyway.
Too hot for me.
Well, Mad Max was filmed out at Broken Hill, at the west of New South Wales there.
What, the original one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I? Stop share.
Yeah, stop share.
Stop share. There we go.
Okay,
Stop
you're
share.
right. Oh, good. Back to the bibliography.
Oh yes, they're tracked and dying from nasty ways. Right then, yeah. In July, they were released by heavy rain. God, I bet they were happy.
Yes, they would have been.
Sturt moved his party in a northwesterly direction to Fort Grey, whence, that word just doesn't get used enough, whence he made a series of reconnoitring expeditions, culminating in a 450-mile, that's 724 clicks, journey towards the centre of the continent. Repulsed by the sand dunes of the Simpson Desert, he at last reluctantly abandoned the idea of an inland sea. I mean, you know, how many hits?
We see a Simpson Desert full of sand? I don't know.
Yeah. All right, then, guys, this is far enough.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
I'm not going any further. I haven't got any rum.
Yeah. Where's all the rum? Sturt and his party returned exhausted to Fort Grey, and after another trip to the Coopers Creek area from the 9th of October to the 17th of November, they found the waterhole was rapidly drying. Return to the River Murray became imperative, but nevertheless, Sturt proposed that the main party should go home, whilst he and John McDouall Stewart made a do-or-die trip towards the centre. Clues in the name there.
That's not good.
The surgeon, J.H. Brown, resisted so strongly that these heroics were dropped and the whole party went off together. Oh, so somebody saw sense then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, Sturt then succumbed to a serious attack of scurvy, and Brown took command through the most difficult part of the journey. By using Aboriginal foods, Sturt had almost recovered when the expedition reached Marundi on the 15th of January. He arrived at Adelaide on the 19th, ahead of his party, which followed a few days later.
Oh, a few days. Oh, that's not too bad.
In his absence, Grey had been replaced by Major Robe, and Sturt had been appointed colonial treasurer. His position was now more comfortable, and early in 1847 he applied for leave. He left for England on the 8th of May and arrived in London just too late to receive personally the gold medal of the Royal Geographical Society, but was able to complete a published account of the expedition. On his return to Adelaide in August 1849, He was soon appointed colonial secretary, but unfortunately his sight began to fail, and at the end of 1851 he retired on a pension of £600.
Which back then wasn't bad money.
That ain't bad at all. 1851, 600 quid. Yeah. Sturt had often expressed his love for Australia and his determination never to return to England, but the need to secure the future of his children forced him to change his mind, and he left Australia on 19th of March 1853. He spent his last years peacefully at Cheltenham, being widely respected and continually consulted about Australian affairs, particularly the preparations for the North Australian expedition of 1854. There you go. It's got a clue about what we might be covering in the near future. He applied unsuccessfully for the governorship of Victoria in 1855 and of Queensland in 1858. In 1869, at the instigation of his friends, he sought a knighthood, but died on the 16th of June before the formalities were completed. Later, the Queen permitted his widow to use the title Lady Sturt. He was pursued to the end by financial difficulties, and it was said that had his old friend George Maclay not come forward, there would not have been enough in his estate for a decent burial.
Wow.
That's a bit sad. After all of that, you know.
All that. If he didn't have a friend to come forward.
Yeah. Wow. Blimey.
Wow. But his name lived on. That's the main thing.
Yes, exactly. Well, here we are reading about him.
Yeah.
So, right, here we go. This looks like a summation.
Yeah.
Although Sturt probably entered his career as an explorer through influence, his selection was justified by results. He was a careful and accurate observer and an intelligent interpreter of what he saw. And it was unfortunate that much of his work revealed nothing but desolation. He prided himself with some justice on his impeccable treatment of the Aboriginals and earned the respect and liking of his men by his courtesy and care for their well-being. Indeed, his capacity for arousing and retaining affection was remarkable. It made him an ideal family man, but a failure in public life. Without toughness and egocentricity to balance his poor judgment and business capacity, he had little chance of success in colonial politics. In this sphere, he might well be described as a born loser. It's a bit sad. Yeah. He remained throughout his life an English Tory gentleman with an unshakable faith in God. Despite his passionate interest in Australia, his inability to appreciate the attitudes of the colonial community was shown by his proposal in 1858 for a colony of Asiatic convicts in the north. He will always be remembered, however, as the first to chart the Murray River. In Victoria Square, central Adelaide, a bronze statue of Sturt was unveiled in 1916, largely through the efforts of a prominent school teacher, Madeline Rees-George. The statue differs from others in the square, including one of Queen Victoria in formal robes, because Sturt is depicted in working attire, wearing a broad-brimmed hat and peering into the distance. With him are essential survival tools, including a water bottle and a compass.
Oh, how else are you going to find your way around?
Well, GPS, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, a water level.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you need is a water level.
Yeah.
And probably it might have been a little early for GPS there, farmers.
Okay, maybe.
So he was probably having to use Omega instead.
Oh, thank you for helping reading that, farmer.
I have no trouble reading it whatsoever, mate. You know that.
Yet I did. I do.
No. You did a fair chunk, to be honest.
Yeah. Don't worry, I was barely able to get there. That's why I read words wrong sometimes. My eyes go all blurry and watery,
Yeah, well, I mean, even a lot of people do this, and I know I did it a couple of times in there. You read what you think you see,
yeah,
or what you expect the word to be, rather than what it actually is.
Yes.
And an awful lot of people, I'd say most people do that at some point. I know I did that a couple of times, and thought, yeah, that was wrong, but I didn't bother going back and correcting myself. But you do quite often, and it doesn't have to be complicated words. You just expect it to be something else.
It's the same with grammar. If certain sentence structures are formulated in a certain way, and then it runs the way you think it's going to run, and something throws you off with a different word or whatever that they may have changed it grammatical context. Okay, that threw me off.
Yeah. Punctuation is certainly. I'd say that a lot of this is a bit light in punctuation, because when you're talking, you naturally have pauses, and that's something that you need to include in the written word, so that when you're reading it out, it doesn't sound artificial or stilted. But you have to have those pauses. You have to have commas in the right place.
Yeah.
As an act to that, I think some of this, I was having to pause anyway, even though there was no comma there. But you have to pause because she's like, I have to breathe. I can't talk for 2 minutes constantly without bloody breathing, you know. And that's one of the things. That's one of the reasons why punctuation is so important.
Well, imagine if we could get this to read out like the text-to-speech one.
Oh.
What it sounds like.
God.
That'd just kill it.
Yeah. This whole chunk in particular, I think, is a little bit light on punctuation. When you're reading it out, commas aren't where you'd expect them to be, sort of thing. But could be worse. You could be reading something written by a flat earther.
Oh no!
Yeah, I mean,
Alan,
and you have to remember, it was written in 1967, before the advent of the word processor.
This is true.
And the grammar checker.
Oh, I remember one evening when my eldest, and this is several years ago, he was sat down using his mother's laptop to write out a bit of homework. And I'd seen when he wrote things out by hand, his spelling and punctuation were abysmal. But when he's on his laptop and then printing it out, it was absolutely spot on. And if you looked over his shoulder and watched him type it, you could see why, because he's just correcting everything for him.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is a huge advantage of word processors.
Yeah, but I think it makes people a little bit lazy.
Especially for the dyslexic.
Yeah.
Although there are some dyslexic people who can't use a spell checker. See, Rosie can only use a spell checker if it only offers her one word.
Right.
One spelling option. The minute there's more than one spelling option there, she can't actually pick the correct word because she can't. She says they all look the same.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I can understand that.
So they all look the same. So because they're all very similar words usually, aren't they?
Yeah.
So when she reads them, they all read the same to her. It's like, well, which one do I pick?
Yeah. No. I get that.
Oh, still no Carl. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Where is Carl?
And there's just one thing, as I see Irish Stew is now here. Lead-free solder? Really?
Who's using lead-free solder?
Irish Stew. For hand soldering, it's like, why?
Remember the bronze, my God.
Why would you put yourself through that? At least they still allow you to buy leaded solder so that you can repair old equipment.
Yeah, I need to check now. Here in the UK, they've changed the unleaded petrol.
They have indeed.
And there's now signs everywhere telling people to check as to people who've got older cars and motorbikes as to whether it's going to cause long-term problems because they've changed the composition of the fuel.
To what?
Oh, I can't remember now.
It's got a lot of ethanol in it now.
Yes.
And that apparently can damage certain rubber seals.
Seals, yeah, in older cars.
Pipes.
Yeah, well, given my motorbike given my motorbike is 25 years old.
But that should
It
have
could
been
be a-
stated on the pump ages ago if you had any ethanol in it. Because we call it E10 over here, where it's got 10% ethanol.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what we're now getting, E10.
yeah. See, we only had E5 before.
Well, still E
apparently
something.
Yeah.
I think the E5, let's say the amount of ethanol in E5 was such that it wasn't a problem to existing fuel systems. There wasn't enough in it. And of course, we also still had super available, which had no ethanol in it at all.
What, leaded?
No, super unleaded. So, but the super still had no
Had no ethanol in it.
and
Okay.
was-
Well,
it was-
we call that
it was a
98.
slight-
We had that as 98, 97, 95,
Yeah,
or 91 or
I
whatever.
think I think the standard stuff we used to have was 95, and the super was 98.
Oh, great. I've just checked. There is a gov.uk website where you can check. It seems it's only set up for cars. Because I've just put in Honda, thinking, oh, hopefully I can tell which bike it is. All it says, Honda cars with fuel injection are compatible with E10. All Honda cars that don't use fuel injection should continue to use E5. Well, that's all well and good if you can get E5.
Or what about just straight unleaded without any ethanol?
That is they're now replacing what we would just term unleaded with this E10.
That's not helpful.
As I understand it.
That's not
Because we've always had the choice of unleaded or super unleaded, and like, well, I don't need super unleaded.
We've probably got more older cars over here than do.
Yeah. Oh, and let me just say to John Rapp, quite strangely, if the first letter and the last letter are correct, fast readers can still read this. Indeed, we can.
Yes.
You know, my old wagon's still running the 98 leaded petrol, but I've got to put the lead replacement in at the moment because I haven't got hardened valve seats.
Right.
There's Stewie just put it up, valve seat wear,
Yeah. Honda have said all bikes made since '93 are safe. Well, thank God for that, because mine was made in '96.
I don't even know what seals I'd have in my old engine that E10 or whatever would affect. Probably the fuel.
This was a problem when unleaded was first introduced, of course. Because, of course, prior to that, the valve seats relied on the lead to act as a cushion. It had a cushioning factor.
Yeah, because the tetraethyl lead was in there anyway as an anti-knock agent.
Yes.
It meant you could get away with not hardening the valve seats.
Yep.
Because they effectively lubricated it. But hey, that went away.
Yep.
And if I remember rightly, the guy whose idea it was to put tetraethyl lead in petrol also invented. I think he also invented one of the fluorocarbons that they used for pressurizing cans that ate the ozone layer.
Yes, I think. Yeah, I'm just trying to find the chap, because if you actually look at his legacy, it really doesn't read very well.
Invented tetraethyl. Decided that putting tetraethyl lead in petrol was a good idea as an anti-knock agent, and invented CFC. Basically, invented CFCs as a refrigerant. And
right, his name was Thomas Midgley Jr., and the two highlights of his career are lead in petrol and something called Freon.
Yeah. used as a refrigerant and then later as a
Yep.
can propellant.
Which of course is a CFC and helped give us a hole in the ozone layer.
Yeah.
You remember back here we had the car buyback scheme, and we had the leaded petrol getting phased out. They brought in a lead replacement petrol there for a little while. I wasn't going to get rid of my old car for the buyback scheme, but there was a lot of cars that went for that. We ended up with a wrecking yard called Pick Apart Place down here at Dapto, and everyone wondered why all these cars were parked out in this field. Like hundreds of cars, all the old ones. What had happened is the car buyback scheme thought that the cars were just going to go to the scrapyard and get crushed and wrecked or whatever. No, this person thought, now how about we hang on to these cars? They couldn't resell the bodies or anything. They could just only use them for parts. And he's made a fortune out of it from doing that system, which I thought a lot of people did.
Given the certain announcements we've had in this country over the last sort of 6 months to a year about trying to go green and how we're going to ban the internal combustion engine in so many years, surprisingly enough, second-hand car prices are rocketing.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Oh no! Who could have predicted that?
Nah, who could have predicted that one?
I don't suppose it helped that most of the car factories were closed for 4 months last year.
That doesn't help either, no.
Which really kind of bollocksed up production.
But
so that makes of course that makes getting a new car really difficult. So people are going to start thinking, well, I'll have to buy a not too old second-hand one instead.
Of course, in the finest traditions of the UK government, they've made a proclamation that everybody's going to be driving electric cars by whatever year it is. And then somebody said, well, what about the infrastructure that we need to start with?
Yes.
Oh dear. That's
it.
Yeah. The infrastructure won't be in place, certainly not at current rates that they're building these things.
Well, Ball just brought up the same thing: convert to hydrogen or natural gas. Well, we'll have to have the infrastructure for that, wouldn't we? And the cost of the manufacturing of the hydrogen and natural gas.
Well, actually, if you're going to go over to hydrogen, the infrastructure costs aren't quite so onerous because you can put hydrogen down pipelines. So it's not quite so. And this is an argument I've been having with a lot of people recently, having seen what's going on in the motor industry and testing and development and research and everything else. Having been at MIRA, I can tell you now that most of the major manufacturers are seriously looking at hydrogen-powered cars and hydrogen fuel cells already. Yeah. They're getting ready to switch over to hydrogen from electric already. Because the electric cars and the batteries are just giving them so many problems, and it's charging times and it's faults on the batteries. The biggest problem with the battery is when it catches fire, when it overheats, because that's their biggest concern is regulating the temperature of the battery. When it overheats and catches fire, that's it. You can't do anything. You can't put it out. You got to let it burn because it will burn, even if you think you've put it out. And that's why when they go and when breakdown services come and recover an electric car, and if there has been a fire, they have to be stored somewhere separate and safe from everywhere else because it could sit there for a day or two and then just catch fire again until the battery's burnt out. You can't put them out.
Yeah, and you might even get the case of it catching fire again while it's on your recovery vehicle.
Yes, quite possibly, yes.
Which would then result in the recovery vehicle being burnt to the ground as well.
Yes. I mean, at MIRA, they've got a facility there just for testing battery modules. Not the entire battery, but the modules that make up the battery. And they have a separate room outside there with a drench facility. It's got the biggest sprinkler heads you ever did see. They're almost 2 inches in diameter. And if the battery module reaches a certain temperature, this isn't when it's caught fire. It's when it's on its way. This thing just goes off and will drench it in water. thousands of liters a minute of water just to get the temperature back down again.
Back down again a bit.
Yeah, because it's the only thing you can do. Because if you don't, then the temperature will naturally spiral out of control, and woof, your battery's on fire.
I liked last year how Elon Musk said we've now produced a new battery cell for vehicles with twice the capacity, but it was basically twice as big as the old cell.
Well, yeah, so of course it's got twice the capacity.
Yeah.
We've made this new engine that's got twice the capacity of the old one, because the old one was a 1500 and this is a 3 litre. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
So they are
don't
now.
park an electric car in your garage
It's,
while it's charging.
Yeah, not a good idea. But the controls that they have in place to measure, monitor, and control battery temperature, they're the biggest safety concerns on the electric car.
Yeah.
But that's another one of the reasons why they're looking at hydrogen fuel cells. Because of course, if you have a hydrogen fuel cell, you don't have to recharge the damn thing. You just got to fill the tank up.
Yes, and actually, dealing with hydrogen is probably actually safer than dealing with batteries.
Yeah. Overall, it could well be, but obviously you got to be careful.
Overall.
But you got to be careful with petrol. I can hear my kettle calling to me now. Oh God, it's 27. It's the full experience.
Oh.
Is that a hint for everyone to go and do their housework and go and make put the jug on?
Terry, do we kill you? Do we kill you now?
Yeah, I'm sure all of you have got some dusting to do.
Yeah,
the Hoover needs to come out.
Something you've been putting off for that rainy day.
I have to admit, I do need to go and get. As I noticed, it is 1 o'clock already.
Yes.
I do need to go and get the bed linen out of the washer dryer.
Well, you've got 27 minutes to do it.
And 13 seconds.
Well, it is on Lindsay's speed, so it would be less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then I'll make a cheese sandwich.
Okay, we'll let you know when it's finished.
You should have hang on. You've got just over 21 minutes real time.
Okay.
It won't take me very long, and I'll still have the audio up.
Oh, okay.
Or like this morning when the sun suddenly came out, and I thought, I've got to clean the lounge windows. Because the sun, because this house pretty much faces east. The sun came out because it'd been tipped down. Then the sun suddenly came out. And it's like, oh my God! Particularly that one bit of glass as a cat likes to rub herself against. It's like, I've got to clean it now. You know how you think, oh, I'll put that on the list. No, it was. I had to do it there and then. It was. I was ashamed.
Wally's trying to pick on you.
Meaningless chit chat.
Yeah. Come on, let's rip the band-aid off.
Exactly.
Press play, Terry.
Flat Earth bullshit.
Then the old shit I can see, throw at the wall and see if it sticks.
Let's see if it sticks, yeah. Why does he...
What?
What the hell?
No, we know we can't debunk it.
You can't fix stupid.
Oh, he's back on to Dave again.
You don't like Professor Dave, does he?
No, I don't think he likes it. Because Dave's telling him the truth and he doesn't like it.
Where's your evidence?
Oh, don't tell.
Let's see Dave navigate the world with just a globe in his hand as his map. They hold their globe up and go, we got a map.
You know, the Peanuts nearly weren't going to tell us that they couldn't see or hear it.
Why did they? Yeah.
Well, Andrea did. She's retracted a message before I got to. Oh no, Dora did. Sorry. Nobody tell Terry. We the Peanuts aren't seeing or hearing Lindsay. Shush.
And you had to go and type it, didn't you?
Yes, yes, you had to do that, Dora, didn't you?
Where's the flat Earth map? Oh, wait a minute.
Flat Earth cult now a pathetic parody of itself. I'm just going to make a few more videos demonstrating how easy it is to destroy Flat Earth without using any science at all. Last time we looked at the moon, so today let's look at the stars. Flat Earthers love to...
Last time they looked at the moon. So these globies are always telling us everything's spherical. Nothing's spherical because on our arc dome of horizon,
I get it now, Wally. Yeah, well, whatever.
they're seen as discs. Discs. If they're on this arc, it's a disc. Obviously, it'll change perspective a little bit as it swings over to this side, right? All ancient cultures tell us they're discs.
About how dumb it is to look up at the sky to determine the shape of the Earth, but that's only because doing so specifically proves that it's a sphere, and it's one of the ways we figured out that it's a sphere thousands of years ago. For example, if you're at a northerly latitude facing northwards and you watch the stars for a while, you will notice that they appear to rotate counterclockwise around a point in the sky. This point is roughly aligned with the star Polaris, which we call the North Star. If you were to then travel south for a while, you would see that certain stars are no longer viewable, and at the equator, all the stars move directly east to west through the sky. Then, heading towards the southerly latitudes and facing south, you will see a whole new batch of stars you couldn't see in the north, and they will again be rotating around a point in the sky, though this time clockwise instead of counterclockwise. So how do we make sense of these observations? Do they work on a flat Earth? Not even a little bit.
It doesn't make sense when he's pointing at his little drawing because of the North Pole rotations in the centre, and then we're saying that they rotate clockwise looking south, but he's just pointing at one spot.
Yeah.
That the sky would be doing different...
Not even a little bit. There's our northern rotation. That's the centre north of the flat Earth.
Yeah, in one spot.
Basically, the entire flat Earth design, but we see this sky flat. This is the north. Put this aside for now, I'm going to use it for something else. But that's the shape of the Earth, the firmament over the flat Earth, okay? So, out of there's a centre vortex. I haven't drawn that picture today. But this is it here, looking down on it. All the stars spiral out of a central vortex. We only see the stars at night.
They don't spiral, they rotate in a circular.
They spiral out like this. So, if you're standing back here, it gives the impression that it's a full rotation because they're continuously coming out and going around, disappearing. It's a continuous rotation. But you can't see it. It's not really at a full rotation because the sun is on the other side, isn't it? We're only seeing these stars at night. But because they swing out like this continuously, imagine millions of them just coming out.
Just as stupid the second time round, too. You do realise that we've seen this one already, Terry.
We haven't. We haven't.
Have we?
Yeah, it's very familiar.
Well, I was going to
Did
say,
I get the wrong
17th.
one? Did I get the wrong one?
Quite
Don't tell me I did. I might have clicked on the wrong one. I know it's I seen Professor Dave, and I thought he already did Professor Dave.
Yeah. Because I remember him talking about like the sun and the stars at night, and yeah.
Oh dear.
I think you'll find we watched this one last time.
Oh, I scrolled down too far. Because there's usually a red line in the video that whichever the
It
last
shows
one
you
we
that
watched.
you watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Professor Dave gets an education on flat Earth. That was the last one we seen. Part 2.
That's part 1 we just watched again, wasn't it?
Okay, well, it might have been part 2. My flat Earth truth is in the Prague clock. That was 2 weeks ago. We didn't see that one, did we? Recap of the flat Earth design and more. Recap of the flat Earth design. Milky Way. Flat Earth design. Grand finale, part 3. World's first discovery proves Earth to be flat.
What happened? Was that the wrong video you were watching or something?
Yeah.
We've seen that one before.
I know, I scrolled down too far. I didn't realise which one I clicked on.
And somebody really wasn't keen on watching it again.
Yeah. What about
I wonder why.
Stupid the time around.
Oh, yeah, that's why I read the wrong one. Professor Dave doesn't understand Earth is flat. That was a week ago. I don't think we've seen that one because that's got a different thing on the board.
Mm.
Okay, we'll go for that one then. Because you don't want to see Hermes Trismegistus or whatever it is. Discovery proves to be Earth to be... World's first discovery proves Earth to be flat. That's that one. That's a week ago. Okay, this is something new. Yeah, this is new. I mean, new on the board. Okay.
I see it's still 27 minutes and 13 seconds though.
But we can fix that.
Hi folks, welcome to Flat Earth Philosophy. The biggie today, got a biggie.
The biggie.
I discovered something about a year ago, but it's gained no traction. This should be on every Flat Earther site. I mean, in fact, it should be on every front page of astronomy, physics, National Geographic, the Rolling Stones magazine, Popular Mechanics, and I should have had phone calls from physicists and scientists all around the world nominating my name for a Nobel Prize. No. We all know why.
Yeah, we all know why. We know
story.
why. We know why.
We'll turn them all into a bunch of flippin' morons. So, I'll just read what I've posted. Basically an update, because I posted it about a year ago. Haven't seen any flat earthers put videos up or do it for themselves to prove the point.
Yeah,
The
I
best
did.
I've got out of
I
someone
put my flat Earth proof video up
was
for you.
Professor Dave,
Yep.
who mentioned the fact that we all have our own dome, but he just skimmed over it. Not as a fact, but as some theory of flat earthers, and I've been talking about that because that's how it all works. I'm not sure I put this up in another video, but I think I have. You have to accept you've got a
Fruit
an arc
Loop
of horizon.
Weekly.
5Ks on ground level. As you rise up, it expands. The higher you go, it gets bigger. It gets to a maximum of about 200 miles. Everything, all the celestial bodies projected down onto your one dome. Your arc of horizon. We see up 5K. If we take some videos, you can see a lot of flat Earth horizons.
I still can't get how arc and horizon can be in the same
sentence. You could maybe argue there's a slight curvature in there. So what? You get the slight curvature only because of the lateral curvature of the horizon. You're getting your 5K all the way around. It's obviously curving. So that curving is going to appear as a raised point.
At sea level,
the ocean, I'm on an island, I can take a long straight edge. You could probably see about 10K of horizon with a long black straight edge. You cannot see any raised point within that 2 metre straight edge. Eyeing through.
I wonder where he's getting this idea that he thinks the horizon's curved from left to right. When you rotate 360 degrees at sea level, like if you're out at the ocean, it's all. Anyway.
It's just a circle.
Yeah.
Terry, the horizon is a circle.
I know that. That's what I can't work out why he thinks it's curved.
So from any angle, it is from any unless your eye level is level with the surface.
Surface of the water, yeah.
You will see you will see the horizon as a curve, because you're looking at a circle. Yeah. Even when you're standing up normally at the beach and looking out to sea, you are actually seeing a curve. From if you've got the beach running left, 180 degrees, you will see you're actually seeing you're looking at a circle, so you will see an ever so slight curvature on it, even at your eyes sort of 5.5 foot altitude. You see it's a curve, not a straight line.
Well, I mean, it has to, because if it's in front of you and it somehow gets around behind you, it has to friggin' curve to do that, doesn't it?
Indeed it does, Paul.
Yes.
Especially if you're standing on a boat in the middle of the sea and the horizon is always exactly the same distance from you.
Are you saying the sea doesn't have topography, Alan?
It doesn't have a lot, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Unless there's a tidal wave.
That's all right.
You say that in the middle of a North Atlantic storm when the waves are 40 foot tall.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
It's got topography then.
Yeah. Here comes some topography. It's going to wash us away.
Look out!
Terry, in the deep ocean, most tidal waves are not much of a problem.
Exactly.
Because they keep talking about the one if Tenerife falls in if half of Mount Tidy falls off and lands in the water, like some people think it might. In the mid-Atlantic, that tidal wave is going to be maybe 20 metres high, but it's also going to be about 20 kilometres long. The problem comes is when it hits shallow water again, when it hits the land, it slows the front of the wave down and the back of the wave catches up, and that's when it gets to be 50 to 100 metres high as it crashes on the shore, and it's a kilometre deep instead of 20 kilometres deep. That's the unfortunate. So actually, in the mid-ocean, you wouldn't really notice a tidal wave. You just would go up the front face of it quite smoothly and run down the back face of it. It's wind-powered waves that cause you the problems, because they tend to have much shorter wavelengths. And you go up, and you go down, and you go up, and you go down, and then you... Blah.
Press play.
Yeah, please.
If you did, it would be a millimetre or two. Like I say, your lateral horizon. But here's the biggie. So listen up. This should be shared. Every flat earther with a camera, decent camera, should have been out to do this. Check this. I did it all on my P900. The P900 doesn't have a wide angle lens, so a P1000 would be even better. This is
Yes,
what I
it
wrote.
does. It has a
quite
24
amazing,
millimeter equivalent lens, as does the P1 bloody 1000. The wide angle's the same for both cameras.
Right.
Better response you get from an indoctrinated globe believer, especially when it was your own family, when you tell them that you are the first person in the world to discover something that proves the Earth is truly flat. The first to make it public, at least. I guess we all have to be dumb together or something. Poor globe lovers. I have the proof, and anyone can see it for themselves. If you're in the southern hemisphere, take star trail footage of the celestial equator as soon as it becomes dark. There you will see both the northern sky rotation and the southern sky rotation nearly merging. There's a gap because it's the tropical gap. You get this sky, southern sky coming into the tropics of Capricorn. The northern sky comes down to the Tropic of Cancer. And you get this tropical gap. You'll see it in the night sky. That gap, currently we have Orion's belt moving right through the centre of it. So now's a good time to get out there and use Orion's belt as a reference point between the two sky rotations. If you're in the southern hemisphere, take star trail footage of the celestial equator as soon as it becomes dark, because you're going to be taking several over the night. You probably only get about 3. You won't get much sleep this night. There you will see both the northern sky rotation in the horizon for a southerner and the southern sky rotation coming over here, nearly merging. Using Orion's belt as a central reference point, because Orion's belt runs dead centre in the straight line across your sky between the two rotations. Between the two rotations, rotation here and a rotation there. I'll come over here, this comes over my head, southern, through here, Orion's belt, right? Take at least 2.5 hours of star trail footage. Once it is finished, turn your camera ever so slightly to the northeast. Because from the south, the sky rotation is rotating across the sky to the west. So if you take one here,
What?
you take one north first, dead
Did you
centre
hear what he
north,
just said?
2 rotations. You'll get the you'll see the north like this, and then you'll see the other one, this other one coming overhead and going round. Obviously, you don't see the whole rotation, but you'll see the scallop because it's way back there. You know, sigma tensor is way back behind you, so you see part of the rotation. So you get this rotation, and it's all moving this way over the night. So you've got this rotation, or part of it. Take the next one this way. That proves 100% what I'm talking about. Take it then, because this one would have moved on this way, because it turns like this. The whole central rotation is turning, so it's projecting out here. As this turns, it projects a circular rotation out here. You've always got one on your horizon. You've always got one, but it's coming in and going out. You can't tell unless you use your camera. It tracks it. So you're taking your first one here at dead north, then go northeast. Then once you've done that 2.5 hour rotation, then shoot it back this way, just a little bit to the west of your initial one, and catch it there. Okay? Where are we? Take at least 2.5 hours of star footage. Once it is finished, turn your camera ever so slightly to the northeast and set it for another 2.5 hours. Once that is complete, not much sleep that night, turn the camera to the left of your first shot, northwest slightly. The next morning, you will find that you have filmed 3 separate southern sky rotations over your head, revolving around the central fixed northern sky rotation. 3 separate rotations. This alone proves 100% the Earth is not a spinning globe flying through space. No globe believer or lover of the globe theory can justify this observation. What
Yes,
backs up this reality is the Prague clock design and the Antikythera mechanism. They are both designed with one circular, not elliptical either, rotation revolving around another circle, wheel within a wheel. And if you are intelligent enough, you will find the meaning of Ezekiel 1:20, chapter 1:20, and thereabouts. There's several in there. It also is referring to this phenomenon. It also is in reference to man's own arc of horizon. This is that dome I was just talking to you about. Wheels within wheels.
his own overhead dome that moves with him always. Remember? You're always zenith of that dome, your sphere. This all comes into celestial navigation too. If you understand that, you'll see it there. You're always zenith. You even find it in science. This dome is what all the celestial bodies are projected down onto for one's own observations. Hence why we cannot triangulate any celestial body's positions. Only if you are mug enough to believe the science of them all being millions and millions of miles away. The sad news for Globers is that all the celestial bodies are projections only, but not merely, because they are still godly references for us, signs, into our moisture-filled atmosphere. So the moisture in our atmosphere acts as lensing, mirrors. Atmospheric lensing is all this atmospheric moisture. Everything is basically smoke and mirrors. We're all deceived. Mirrors being the moisture, smoke being the gaseous layers of the firmament, the 7 different layers of different pressure zones of moisture, which create gases. And these are the gases we get up there, and this is where the minerals come into it as well.
What?
Why you'll see the different colours across
No.
Pluto and that. Pluto, yeah. And because there's minerals up there, it's not as high as they say. It's only so high. It's just not that high. I mean,
quick question. When he says water in the atmosphere, does he mean water vapour, or does he mean water droplets that form clouds?
I don't think he would distinguish between the two. Alan.
No.
He's not that clever.
He would say yes.
Yeah, well,
He'd say yes, yeah.
I think you're presuming too much on his
Yeah.
behalf.
Do you mean vapour or do you mean water droplets? Yes.
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 yeah, because as I'm sure we all know by now, water vapour makes the refraction go in the wrong bloody direction for most of the things that the flat earthers needed to, doesn't it?
Mm.
Well, it doesn't act like a lens in the atmosphere, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, no, it can't do that at all. But yeah, water vapor. Claiming water vapor kind of screws them up because it changes the index of refraction in the wrong direction, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Ground level, you get it at 5k, your arc. Equal distance all the way around you, a nice equal arc, just like this. Okay? Let me finish what I'm saying here.
Has he got your personal dome arc thing crossed over, so you're crossing into somebody else's arc? That don't make sense.
Where do we get up to? This dome is what all celestial bodies are projected down onto for one's own observations. Hence why we cannot triangulate any celestial body's positions. Only if you are mugging up, blah, blah, blah. Okay. This will no doubt go down in history, as it will eventually be a well-known fact. The idea is to spread this information far and wide so all flat earthers can feel vindicated and show the rest of the world their complete ignorance and the common unenlightened human beings they are. Sheeples. You've all gone along with the BS. It's time to wake up, okay? Better still, if you use 2 cameras and get 6 different rotations in one night. This will certainly shut the silly globers up when they ask that simple question, how can we see 3 southern rotations at the same time when looking south from South Africa, Australia, New Zealand or South America? Duh. Because the southern rotation is a parabolic rotation of the central northern rotation as it turns 24/7 from a central fixed point. And I found all this on my P900. Imagine if you used a wide-angle lens, like a P1000.
The P1000 hasn't got a wider angle lens, you
You
fool.
can do this experiment for the northern hemisphere too, but you will see the low southern hemisphere sky on your horizon doing the scallops or rotations around your northern sky above you. So you see the northern one come out like this. And then you'll see that you'll film the southern one doing a rotation there, like this. And this is what it's doing.
No, you don't.
All the way around to the west.
That's what I couldn't figure out. He was saying that earlier, how it rotates around in circles, like a wheel going across the sky.
This this idiot has obviously never been to the Northern Hemisphere.
No. And he obviously
Because-
hasn't been outside looking at the southern sky either.
Oh yeah, I gathered that. But you know, his description of the northern sky, which I've made quite a number of time lapse videos of, yeah, it just doesn't work the way you think it does. You dozy plonker.
I don't think he's allowed out at night.
I don't think he's allowed out.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Well, not without an escort.
Yeah.
All of the spinning ball globe theory starts falling apart once you understand what is actually happening here. I kid you not. It all falls apart. It's mind-blowing. It's probably the one and only thing that anybody can go out and do and prove for themselves. You get these circular rotations moving west. You can't deny it. How do they explain that on one single spinning ball flying through La La Land? This one star in here will be here and it turns. So you can track it and it'll wander off.
What?
This is where they use the equatorial mounts. Watch the star wander off. You can say you're following it around here. You go back.
they
You've
don't.
always got a
Got no
rotation.
idea how an equatorial
You
mount
know that
works
one
either.
star's wandered off. So it's moving in these rotations.
no.
So it turns like this, slowly like this, all the way around.
He's
Come
got
back to the
the
exact same
stars
top position.
wandering around now.
Yeah,
Rise at the same time the very
exactly.
next night.
Exactly.
So imagine if you're out south, around the southern hemisphere, right? And you're looking at a star back here. Well, you'll see the star on your horizon.
Next
You're
to we
looking-
stand,
say
the
you're looking
birds are
north.
homeless.
You see the north. Not the northern star, no, just a star north of you guys. You're over here in your arc of horizon, your zenith. Here's zenith, there's the star. Yes, look where it is on his arc of horizon, there. Look where it is on his, there. It's always different wherever you are. So this way you cannot triangulate any celestial bodies. It's all make-believe. Unless it's millions and millions of miles away, then you can bullshit anything you like. 93 million miles where the sun is. This is the best way to see the sun. See, the sun projects its rays across like this, right? As it goes around the flat earth like a clock arm, clock hand, whatever. Straight out here. Now, if two people are out here on the same longitude, let's say here, there's the sun there from the north. It's all projected from the centre. Everything's from the tree of life from the centre. Right in here, unseen to man.
Tree of life?
the
You've never
non-physical,
mentioned tree of
mental,
life before.
Physical world. Projected out. You're on the same longitude. 1, 2, 3 people there. Look, the sun's frequency is projected across the magnetic field. It's not an object, but it's seen in your arc of horizon.
Oh, no.
He sees us there.
That
He
was
sees us there.
word
He
salad.
sees us there.
Yeah.
That's what you have to understand. Globers will never get this, they'll never understand this. They'll think it's a big object. They think it's a big fiery rock floating in the sky, 93 million miles away. So there you go. That's how it's formed. But if you come back up here and say you're not on the
What's
same
a rock
longitude,
93 million miles away?
look where he's going to see it on his arc, way
Sun.
down here into the west. Look where he sees it,
Oh, okay.
11 a.m. into his east. 3 p.m. over here, he's seeing it as west. Let's say the sun's here at 1 o'clock. There's 2 hours there down on his arc, 2 hours down on his arc. It's quite easy. You can't deny any of this. This is why Simon Dan or Professor Dave hasn't picked on any of my videos. There's plenty of meat they could chew on, but they don't want to highlight any of my stuff because they know I know. Those guys are just paid government shills, NASA shills. Nazi NASA, what's the difference? But challenge anyone, go out there and prove me wrong. Got some photos on here, what have I got here? Oh, you see, things like this, that's what they show you. They think, to make you believe you're living on a spinning ball. But see,
What?
there's arcs coming up and over. I'll show you how it works. See, it doesn't go down like that. It just
I
goes
can't
around
see
you.
what he's looking at.
Is it a
I
good
think it
example?
showed the arc of the sun going over the house.
If you're in the northern hemisphere, you're north, you're in here. So you're looking back this way. So you've got a sky over you like this. Okay, you're looking south. So you're looking at the dome like this. So you're seeing it like this, because the rest of this is way back behind you if you're looking south, right? Because it's elevated, the higher it is, and you've got this curving back behind you, you're not seeing like that, you're seeing like this. You see the red line? And the more that tilts up into this position, and you're seeing that back there, it starts going up. It starts going up and over you, doesn't it? It's quite easy to see that. Yeah? And it goes up.
No.
So it's going up and over you. But it's coming around from your east into your arc of horizon and passing around over to your west.
No.
It's so simple. Now, if I'm looking from the south to the north, I'm going to be doing something similar, but this is going to be in behind me. This is going to be over behind me.
Wouldn't you be turned around,
I'm
Lindsay?
doing this. I'm looking. I'm now looking.
See, you put the bowl on his
There's the
head.
centre.
Come on.
Yeah, I was waiting for
I
that.
can't see way over
Yeah,
here.
put it on his head, yeah. Put it on your head,
I
Lindsay.
can't see over here. I can only see up here. So I'm
Put
looking.
the bowl on your head, Lindsay, and
centre.
turn the bowl around.
It's pretty hard.
Or you turn it
I'm
around.
looking
On
here.
the head. On the head.
Yeah, on the head, yeah.
Guess it's like that, isn't it?
On
I'm
your
looking
head.
to the centre. I'm seeing the star come from the east, my right, and swing over me like this. But I don't see it like this. I'm seeing it.
No, not in the
I'll see
southern
it.
hemisphere.
Yeah, well, that's how I see it. This is way over behind me.
I think.
No, really.
I think
This
he.
one-
What?
I think he's
Ain't
probably-
that
he
much?
I've
can't-
seen this come up.
I think he
Like
needs a
this.
different dish for the southern hemisphere, doesn't he? A different dish with the line drawn in a different position.
I think what he needs to do is get himself out an equatorial mounted telescope and align it properly, right? And then start tracking a star. Start tracking a star that's not close to the celestial pole,
Yeah.
right? Track a star that's, say, 90 degrees from the celestial pole. And he'll notice that the telescope tracks the star nicely from horizon to horizon. And then if he keeps on tracking it, like as if it tracks it and points to something that's under the ground through the earth. And if he kept on tracking it, it would track it until it rose again on the other side, and it would still be tracking it.
Yeah, and if you didn't have any cables to worry about up
Yeah.
to the for like cameras on the telescope or anything, it would just keep tracking forever, wouldn't it? Going round and round and round in flipping circles.
Yeah, that's right.
This is the image. You're seeing it come around from your east, swing over you like this, and disappear. But more, no, it's actually more like this. You're seeing it come around like this, but you've got to bring that up like that. So once you start going up, it starts appearing to go like this. Pretty hard to explain. I'll show you like
Well,
a bit of cardboard.
well,
Look at
does
this
it?
particular pattern.
What's that saying? I'm out at the moment, by the way.
I haven't got it designed up. But
What do you
this
mean
is where you
you're
get
out?
cardioid pattern from as well. You can't explain the cardioid on the flat earth. I mean, on the spinning ball. The
He's
cardioid
actually said
pattern,
it right this time.
where you get this
Cardanoid. No,
picture
you
going
got
on like this. It's coming like if you're right here. This is how it comes out. It's
got my
coming out
little
the
zips
centre.
on.
So it's coming around into your arc of horizon. This is all brought down onto your dome, your sphere. You get the cardioid shape like this,
It's not a
Because it's the
cardanoid,
it's the
Lindsay. It's a
sun
cardioid.
and everything is coming out. It's all being reflected out of the central pointed end.
Jesus,
That's
man.
coming around
Learn some
Is it-
geometry.
like this.
Is this
coming over
cardioid pattern that he's talking about actually a thing, or is it just his usual box?
Well, there is such a thing as a cardioid pattern, but there's no such thing as a cardanoid pattern.
Oh, I know. No, yeah, I have problems with pronouncing some words, and that is one of them. But that pattern, is this something that actually happens in astronomy, or is this
No, it's not.
Complete
It's
bollocks.
just shit that Lindsay's made up.
Okay? Because the place I think of seeing cardioid patterns mostly is in microphone response
Yeah,
patterns.
yeah, exactly.
In-
Yeah.
for what directions you can pick up
Yes.
stuff.
Well,
And even
Just
along-
be
even-
thankful he doesn't have it mixed up with corduroy.
Yeah. Yeah.
he's probably wearing corduroy pants. M2M, you're sitting in a shopping centre on your phone. You got Zoom on your phone? You could join, or Discord.
horizon.
You ought to have Zoom
This is
on
how you
his
get the
phone.
shape.
Zoom goes on phones.
I've got no idea how they explain that on a spinning ball, but I'm sure there's some BS involved.
Either.
This is roughly what the flat Earth looks like looking down on it.
The thing is, Lindsay, we don't have to explain that on a spinning ball because we don't see it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's asking us to explain something that doesn't actually friggin' exist.
Yep.
This size here is the same as this size, but this is more oval, isn't it? Because this is a flat sky up here, but down here you've got this curve.
No, it's not.
So this whole image here is projected out here, but it's not really on the sky. It's all suspended in that moisture-filled atmosphere. Holograms, all projected into that moisture-filled atmosphere.
Oh, just magic holograms. Holographic
But it's
magic.
more and more that's like this. That side's there. It's similar to this.
Stop for just 1 second. Do you think that... Now, what would he have called them before we invented holograms?
Good point.
Apparitions.
Because, you know...
Ghosts.
They keep... They keep saying shit like holograms.
Yeah,
And
they
yet-
don't understand how holograms actually work. What actually produces a hologram? What makes a hologram? What physical properties of a material are required to produce a hologram? No, they have no friggin' idea.
Magic.
Yeah, a hologram to them is something that can project something there without having to explain it. That's what hologram means to them.
Well, that could be reducible because of the curvature. But that aside, science knows we have this two symmetrical arcs meeting like this. So it's equal.
Science knows that, does it?
Beautifully symmetrical. Celestial navigation, you'll find that. And you look at the sun's inner lemma. Well, look at the shapes here. Comes in here. It's smaller because you've got the smaller northern hemisphere. You know, we do see this. This is in science. It's only up in here. Yeah, I know that. But
He just draws
like I say,
something
smoke and mirrors.
on the board.
You've got to think of the whole picture.
That's what
it's all
we
coming
see.
from here, being reflected out right across our skies. We're seeing sort of images from this side of the world, then we see images on this side of the world. It's just the way things are, because you've got all this action coming down here. Parabolic image from here, from there to here. You look at that, the northern hemisphere, southern
Parabolic
hemisphere.
now, is it?
It's bigger, bulgier, smaller.
Go on, Lindsay.
So
Time's
negative.
up.
See, this is the discrepancy between the clock time and solar time in the shape. As the sun gets projected out here, and basically is wandering up here in declination. That's the seasonal change. As it goes up, it comes in. It moves in. So it's basically like this over the season, up to the northern summer, and then come back down again. It's the declinational change, you see, but it's all floating around out here. So if you're, like I say, if you could be anywhere out here in the same longitude, it's beaming across the top of you, and you're all getting it on your arc of horizon. Where are we? Down here. See? Down onto your dome. That's down onto his dome. That's down onto his dome. The sun's sort of doing this. Milky Way. The Milky Way. See, the Milky Way is in here. It's on this slope. So you can imagine sloping, and at one part of the night it turns around. It's dead straight. It'll look dead straight in the night sky, and it does in the middle of the night. And then it'll start curling again. See, it starts off curling straight, curling away over the sky. Just like in electrical engineering, you got all the system in here, the magnetic field, or electrical system, and they build up the current and get a cross current, and bang, you get the voltage.
Don't cross the streams, Lindsay.
No.
Across the streams.
Definitely don't.
What's up there's down here.
What's conducting this current?
I'll redraw this properly, but it's more like
bullshit.
this. You see the rotations in here.
Probably the ether.
Curling in, coming to the Tropic of Capricorn. It spins out and curls down to the Tropic of Cancer. And you get all this action going around around that area where the magnetic field is being drawn over down to the ground here, through the earth and back up here, comes out of here, down to the ground, through the earth and back up out here. That's the recycling system. So you've got like a positive flow here, positive flow there, and this negative in here. And that negative flow gets drawn into the centre.
Did he just talk about negative magnetic flow?
I think so.
Oh man.
I know.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Lindsay,
Your guess is as good as mine.
We can have, we have a, yeah, we have two directions for current. For current can be positive or negative flowing, but not magnetic fields. They only flow in one damn direction. And you can't cross the streams.
Yes, otherwise bad things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, to get current to flow through air, you require fucking lightning.
No, you only require about 3 million volts per metre.
Yeah, which is going to result in a bloody big spark, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Oh, I can do it with the right diameter electrode and a sufficient voltage. I'll make enough ionization to get current to flow. Yeah, I can do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that a new experiment I see here coming on?
We've been doing it for 110 years now.
Yeah, I mean, I might not be able to do electric arc welding, but I can at least do brazing with an electric arc torch and a couple of carbon electrodes. And I can do brazing because it's basically just soldering, but on a big scale.
Vesta,
There you go,
Lindsay's not Australian.
No.
Always quick to point that out.
He's off from that easterly island.
Yeah, the one we
About
keep.
3 hours off the coast of Australia.
Yeah, we keep a distance from that one.
We do.
Concentrate on what you're doing, Matt.
He is. He's sitting around waiting.
So you just dropped the video, did you, Terry?
Hey?
Did the video just finish, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, typical Lindsay
Oh, okay.
style. Yeah.
Okay, I missed it because I thought, as I said stop for a second, I thought Terry had just stopped.
You keep recording until you run out of room on your memory card.
Yeah,
I hadn't realised-
were you waiting for the Lindsay outro? Like, oh, we're just about to reach the end of the stream. Goodbye, folks. I'd like to thank. No. It's just
No, I know
just-
that, Paul. I guess that's the problem. I thought Terry had. I didn't realise we'd got to the
Crash stop, reversal screws.
There's a lot of times Lindsay's videos finish mid
Exactly.
sentence.
mid-word. Yeah, or even mid-word.
Oh, look what Blue's posted on his thumbnail, on his avatar.
Dog, doggy, dog.
He's got a doggy dog.
Yeah, that's his doggy dog.
That's
Hiding in the tree.
that's Joker looking for that damn cat. Cat? Somebody say cat?
Where's that cat? Yeah, he doesn't have a strong Kiwi accent, but it is there.
yeah.
I guess it's harder for us people who are further away, shall we say.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, God. So Matt's waiting for his missus to come out of Primark. That's going to be a while.
Like you
wait
guys
for this
over
to
in
come out from where?
shopping
Primark.
centre. We're
Oh.
talking about people sounding alike. Like over in Britain, you guys don't sound alike to me, do you, Struss?
Who's he talking to now? I don't sound anything like Just.
I know.
Unless you're American, then
Yeah,
yes, we
that's
do all
it.
sound
That's
the same.
it.
Of course, I guess mine's a bit confusing because I'm not actually originally from round.
No, that's okay,
No.
Matt.
So I have the wrong accent.
Yes, you don't have a Norfolk accent.
Because I can't read and I can't write, but I can drive a tractor.
Looking at the state of my brother's tractors, I think I'd struggle. Never seen so many bloody buttons on the tractor before.
You might do that accent good, Alan, but Farmers does a good Bev.
But what do you mean? But level is horizontal.
Yeah.
Perpendicular. Oh, God. That bloody voice.
I'll wait for Blue to do some accents like New York or somewhere else.
I only do the one I got.
You
That's all I
only
got.
do the
That's all I
one you
can do.
got.
That's fair.
You've had time to practice
That's not
that
an
one.
accent, right?
You've had
But
time
that's
to.
not an accent.
I can
right?
do that, and I can do that, and I can do good day, mate. But
Okay,
that's it.
That's it. That's it.
So basically, it's Tennessee hillbilly, or today.
You guys hear Joker barking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
That's because
he-
you
what-
mentioned the word cat, isn't it?
I said cat. I said the magic word. So he's
Okay.
desperately searching for the damn cat.
When you combine it with go get it.
Yeah.
Ooh, snack time.
Does he do anything with them if he actually catches them?
That's probably just one
He
cat.
just chases them.
Yeah,
He had a couple of neighborhood cats that like to aggravate him.
do you ever catch one?
No.
We had the family had a German Shepherd, and my dad got her to chase the cats out of the garden, and which was fine because you go charging out the back door, running down the garden, barking like mad, and the cats would be off. Well, one day I'd taken her out for a walk, and we were coming up through the back alley up to the house, and this cat appeared, and of course she went for it, and she cornered it. And then she didn't know what the hell to do with it. She's got it cornered and she's standing in front of it, barking like mad at it. And it's like, okay, so what do I do now?
My brother used to have a Rottweiler on the farm because he runs his business from Dad's farm, and he got one of these collars on that gives him a little zap if he gets too close to the cable buried in the ground. So that was the edge of his territory. And he was very well trained. He would not cross that line.
Yeah.
The cat knew it. And the cat knew that the dog would not cross that line. And she'd sit 2 or 3 meters away and just casually sit there and start cleaning herself and licking her paw and giving it all that. And the dog's going mental. He's barking his head off, and the cat. Other times the cat would just walk backwards and forwards, not going anywhere, just backwards and forwards, and the dog's going loopy, but he wouldn't cross that line, and the cat knew it, and would wind him up for hours on end.
That's the day he turns off the power to the line.
Yeah, no, I mean, he
and cat has had it.
yeah, well, the cat could still outrun the dog anyway, but the cat could soon make itself scarce, but it knew. It had watched the dog, and it knew how far the dog would go, and so it would just sit there and wind him up.
It's really funny how them things give enough jolt to stop them, because of course the minute they've crossed it, it stops giving them the zap, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, if you can make it across, then the zapping stopped. But he didn't like. Yeah, he knew. It weren't much of a zap. I don't think it was. It was just enough for him to go, yeah, I'll tell you what, I won't do that again,
Squirrels are bad about that. Squirrels will know exactly how far down that tree trunk they can go to be just about 2 inches above the highest point the dog can jump to.
Yep.
And they
Yeah.
hang right there and just chatter at the dog, drive the dog nuts.
Yeah. But even mine now, because they've got an electronic cat flap, only my 2 cats can get in the house. But if one of the neighbours' cats is sat the other side of the kitchen door at the back of the house where the cat flap is, Squeak will go bonkers and she'll go up and down through the octaves, makes a hell of a racket. It's like, what? You know it can't get in. Why are you making so much? Yeah, the back arcs. Yeah, make a hell of a noise. It's like, what are you doing? You know he can't get in. Why don't you just walk away and leave him alone? No, got to hiss and spit and call at him through the cat flap. She can see him. That's good enough for her to make a song and dance about it.
Yeah.
I sometimes have to kick her out of the kitchen because you just, it's such a racket. You just can't put up with it. Stupid cat.
Well, you ready for a quiz?
Let's do it.
Have your brains recovered?
Just about, I think.
Right.
All right.
Get the right chat window up.
That's it.
Get the right chat window up. Yeah. Okay.
It's true.
Number 60. The hard quiz. Number 60.
And don't send it to farmers. Send it to Carl Bosch.
No, or Terry.
Bish bash bosh.
Yep. Yeah, and we've got the picture for the ladies there this week too. So, alrighty, all ready and roaring to go.
Yes.
Okay, here we go then. Question 1. Members of this ethnic group avoid living on lower floors because women living upstairs might walk over their heads, exposing them to ritual contamination. What ethnic group is this? Yeah.
Sounds a bit bonkers.
It is a bit bonkers. Yeah. Can't have women walking over the top of you. The Democrats. No. No, Blue, it's not the Democrats.
I'm rubbish at spelling, but I hope that gets the...
Not 6, no.
Not Sikhs.
No. Is
Seek
that what
and
you meant?
Yeah, that's what I meant. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm crap at spelling.
No. Not flirts, no. Not rockers, not Arabs, no. This ethnic group believes that women have the power to defile men by tossing their skirts at them. Geez, I wish they'd defile me.
Yeah. It's not enough of that goes on these days.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I was kept going on about sexual
Not
harassment
big
at work,
towns.
and I kept saying, "Well, where's mine?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not MGTOWs, not Jews. Ritual separation of the upper and lower body is practiced amongst this ethnic group as part of laws governing yuyo or purity and marame or impurity. What ethnic group is this? Alan's typing something. What is he going to come up with this time?
I guess I better just get the... Oh, bugger. It tells you misspelt it.
I like Clive. I like Clive Well's answers. Splitters.
Is that the People's Front of Judea or the Judean People's Front?
No. Splitters.
Splitters. Where is he? He's
Not
over
the
there.
Australian Indigenous people, Alan. No, it's not. We do have a correct answer out in the peanuts, by the way,
It's that one
but
then.
I'm not telling you which one. We have a couple of correct answers, actually. That is correct, Farmer's Boy. So you are correct. As well as John Rapp got it right with Roma, and also M. Bell got it right. M. Ball got it right with gypsies as well. So all of those are correct answers. Or the Romani. Yep. Romani. Yep. Yeah. So the correct answer was gypsies. Yeah. All right. question 2. The book Stop Stealing Sheep and Find Out How These Things Work is by Eric Spiekerman. Sorry. What are these things? Anyone got any idea? I'd be amazed if you got it from this clue.
No, not familiar with that work.
Robert Bringhurst. Yeah, Robert Bringhurst wrote a standard reference on these things. No? Okay. Although one of these things developed by Meeker and Associates outperformed Series D and Series E, M, in a 1997 study, its approval was recently revoked by the Federal Highway Administration. What does the Federal Highway Administration have to approve that its approval got revoked? Not shopping centres. No, not condoms. Not wool shearers. No?
No. Somebody's having a go there.
Yeah. Alan, what's he come up with?
All right.
Roadside reflectors? You mean roadside reflectors? No, it's not those.
The things I can't remember the proper name for them. The things in the middle of the bloody road.
No, it's not those.
Retro reflectors in.
A decree by Martin Bormann claimed that one of these things was created by Schwabacher Jews. That decree was part of a dispute over these things that also resulted in the abandonment of the Sutherland system. What are these things? Not cat's eyes, no. Not road signs, not motorised skateboards. We do have a correct answer out in the peanuts, though. Herbert Bayer created a minimalist universal one of these things for the Bauhaus School. Not roundabouts, no. That is correct, Farmer's Boy. A 2007 Gary Hustwit documentary analyses the popularity of a neo-grotesque example of these things. Yeah, you combine two answers. One of those is correct, Alan. Not bacon sandwiches, no.
What would the Federal Highway Administration care about bacon sandwiches?
Yeah, that's right. Why would they have to approve them?
Yeah.
Hinting and kerning are two methods of adjusting these things. That should give it away. That is correct, Alan.
That's not a term I've heard for a while.
Yeah, that was what I was trying to.
Yeah.
I think that was more what I was trying to type.
Yep, you've got it right. Alan and Farmer's Boy fonts or typefaces, and I think Clive Wells got it there, but I think someone got it before that. Typography, first death.
Yep.
He got it with typography. I'll accept that answer as well. Yeah. Yep. Donald Knuth created the computer modern style of these things, while influential older ones were designed by Claude Garamond. Remember the Garamond fonts? Yeah.
No. Yes.
Oh, don't you?
They're not very popular, though, are they, these days?
They're not. They're not very popular, no. Give this term for a set of glyphs, examples of which includes Helvetica and Times New Roman. That should have given it away.
Thank God it didn't say Comic Sans.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Possibly the worst one ever. Oh, there it goes. Comic Sans. It just flashed past you.
Yeah. All right, question 3. A quantity describing a kind of this phenomenon is the numerator of the Wilson ratio and is derived by considering a parabolic density of states with the right half shifted up by an energy linearly proportional to the B field. What?
Right, okay.
What is this quantity? What is this phenomenon? Alan's having a go. Not the photoelectric effect, no. Okay. Non-degenerate ground states and a second-order Zeeman effect cause a kind of this phenomenon, with a strength proportional to the square of the magnetic moment matrix element divided by its energy gap. That form is temperature independent. Now, this is probably one of the harder questions for this quiz. But you will get the answer, even if it's at the last clue. MXR phase 90. No. A quantity of gibberish words? No.
Isn't that an effects pedal? That sounds like an effects pedal.
Not complex numbers? No. A function used to model this phenomenon is equal to the hyperbolic cotangent of x minus 1 over x, and is known as the Langevin function, which is the classical limit of the Brillouin function that characterizes this phenomenon.
There's
Not
another,
Zeeman splitting, but no. Not magnetic field density, no.
Is it anything to do with what I just stuck in there, Paul?
Yeah, kind of. I'm looking for a particular type of something. Not tensor equations, not transistor boundary crossings, no. This phenomenon is strongly exhibited by gadolinium complexes. There's a kind of this phenomenon that starts with a P, there's a kind that starts with a D, and there's a kind that starts with F. A collection of non-interacting magnetic dipoles at absolute zero will exhibit this phenomenon, which requires a positive magnetic susceptibility equal to the Curie constant over temperature. The one we're after is the one that starts with P. Not quantum tunneling. No. Not Bessel functions. No. Name this phenomenon in which a material is attracted by an external magnetic field, unlike diamagnetism. So it's not diamagnetism. What is the other one? That is the right one, Alan. Yes. Not superconductance. What kind of magnetism, Vroomfondle? Parsnips. No.
No parsnips.
Well, it does start with P, I suppose, but and Clive Wells has it. Paramagnetism was the correct answer. Yeah, paramagnetism. And there you're seeing paramagnetism in oxygen. All right, question 4. Bilal Haque and Peter Vale measured sea levels dating back to this geologic period. What was the geologic period they measured sea levels back to?
All right. How many geological periods can we think of?
Yeah, just start rattling them off. You're bound to get it right eventually.
So it's not that one then?
Or that one?
No, it's not. It comes after that one. This period saw the beginning of the rise of Durophagous and drilling predators in benthic ecosystems in what Gira Vermeer termed the Marine Revolution. What period was it? Not the Jurassic, Vroomfondle, no. Not the Mesozoic. Not the Devonian.
Trying to remember what they all are and which order they go in.
Yeah, the beginning of this period included the first and fastest decrease in the carbon-13 to carbon-12 isotope ratio of carbonates. Not the Cretaceous, not the Monolithic, not the Mesozoic. Not the Carboniferous, no. Not the Cantabrian. The Cantabrian?
That one.
Broomfunnel means the Cambrian.
Yeah,
No, it's not the Cambrian.
I'm running out.
Yeah, so am I.
Early in this period, about 90% of land animals were the synapsid tistrosaurs. Not the Precambrian, not the Phanerozoic. No. Not the birth of my mum either. That, you got it right, Farmer's Boy.
Got there in the
Finally.
end.
got
It
there
was
in the end.
actually it was the Lystrosaurus, the synapsids, that gave it away. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. The acidification of swamps by sulfur dioxide is theorized to have caused the lack of coal in the fossil record at the beginning of this period. Come on, and not the brilliant, no. Pangaea split into Laurasia and Gondwana during this period.
Actually, give it away if you know your.
The PhD Tonyzoic. No. Not the Mesozoic, Alan, no. I'll give you a hint, Peanuts. It starts with T. Yeah. An event preceding this period is theorized to have been caused by the eruption of the Siberian traps. That event preceding this period wiped out the remaining trilobite population.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you got it right, Terry. That's the right one that starts with T. Yep.
Is that the right one for me as well?
Where are you? Yeah. Whereabouts have you put it, Alan? Oh, yeah.
Stuck it in our chat.
That's right. That's correct. Yes. Yep. That's right. Yep. And finally, Biggest Doggist gets it right with the Triassic. Yeah. I'm impressed with all the geologic eras that came out then. Yeah. First period of the Mesozoic era, which occurred after the Great Dying at the end of the Permian, was the Triassic.
It goes Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Cretaceous, the end of the Cretaceous period is when the dinosaurs died out.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the irony is that most of what you see in Jurassic Park is actually Cretaceous.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because for any of us that have been to the Jurassic Coast,
yes,
there are thousands of fossils to be found, but they're almost all bloody Annamites and trilobites, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't find much exciting stuff down there.
Well, look when you're like 8 years old, finding fossils in rocks that you've just banged together to crack open, is actually quite exciting, even if they are only Annamites and trilobites.
Hey, I still find them now in my garden. I've got a gravel patch in my garden, and if one of the cats, Squig, likes to go and roll on the back, and then if you go out in the summer and make a fuss, as you're sort of knelt down in amongst all this gravel, you can't help but look down and go, "Oh, look, there's another fossil. It's full of them."
Yeah. Okay, question 5. This religious organisation's founder collected 999 maxims introduced as things that I whisper in your ear as a friend, as a brother, as a father, in a book titled The Way. What is this religious organisation?
I really hope this isn't the right answer, but I just want to type it anyway.
No.
Thank God for that.
It's not Ron Hubbard, and it's not Islam. This organisation's governance is documented by the Apostolic Constitution Utsit, which established it as the first personal prelature of the Catholic Church.
Whatever that means.
Not the Golden Dawn, not Frank Sinatra, not Scientology, not the Mormons, not the Dalai Lama, and not Lindsay sect. No,
it was the ones chasing a character in a Dan Brown book, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Oh,
I can't remember the bloody name of them.
Yeah, though most members of this organisation are supernumeraries who are allowed to marry, this organisation's numeraries are required to remain unmarried and celibate.
oh God. I've read the book. I put my trails through the agony of reading the
Not
book.
the Jesuits, not the Moons, no. Some members of this organisation controversially wear a cilis, a metal chain with small prongs around their thigh as part of corporal mortification.
Oh, I can't remember what they're bloody
Who
called.
are they?
No, I know, it's so annoying.
Yes.
I'll give you a letter. It starts with O.
Oh.
This organisation, mostly made up of lawmen, was founded by Jose Maria Escriva and emphasises the sanctification of ordinary work. That is correct, Alan. Yes.
Oh, I can't remember it.
I got it. I got it when you gave us the letter.
Yeah. Okay. And
I
Jinx
see
Hughes got it
Jinx
out
got
in the
it as
Peanuts.
well.
Yeah, he's got it out in the Peanuts. It's Opus Dei.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Name this Catholic organisation whose name is Latin for work of God. It is Opus Dei. Yeah.
Oh, good. The
All right.
sun's come out.
Question 6. It's not seaweed, but anthropologist Cowrie O'Connor has written a global history of this plant, while Gary Okahiro has written one centering on its kind of culture. What is this plant?
But it's not seaweed.
Yeah, that's what I was going
It's
to
not
say,
seaweed,
John.
no.
John Rapp, the guy in Da Vinci Code.
The guy in Da Vinci Code, yeah.
There you go, Paul.
Not kelp, no.
Okay, all right. Not cool.
Not kelp. Not
I
kelp,
thought kelp
John
was
Rapp,
seaweed.
no. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But it says it's not seaweed, so it can't be
It's
kelp.
not seaweed. It can't be kelp, yeah. A painting sometimes attributed to Hendrik Dankitz depicts Charles II receiving this type of plant. No, not tofu. No, not tobacco. No. In Victorian England, this plant was often grown in a type of pit, a variant on the hothouse method of its cultivation. Not palms, no. In the 18th century, this plant was commonly associated with hospitality, which led it to become a popular architectural motif. Not algae, no. Not lily pads, no. An architectural folly shaped like this plant is in Dunmore Park in Scotland.
In there.
Not triffids. No.
Shout out to
Not
John Wyndham.
orchids. That is correct, Alan. Well done. Not orchids, no. The tops of the towers of St Paul's Cathedral in London feature finials shaped like this plant.
Trying
See,
to
I
remember what the
don't know
tops
enough. I don't know enough about that plant to realise.
Not cannabis, not orchids, not palm leaves.
I don't know.
That
A light fibre derived from this plant is traditionally used to make the barong shirt. Not onions. Farmer's boy? No. Imagine a shirt made of onions. Gee, that'd make you cry.
Yeah, well, you know.
Not a Venus flytrap. It comes in layers, right?
do I give the Almost Norfolk Boy a clue, or the Almost Norfolk Boy a clue?
No, I don't. If I can't get it, I can't get it.
No, I was going to say it's what my ex always thought was on the top of the Elvedon War Memorial, because she can't tell the difference between a urn and this thing.
Yeah. This plant's fruit forms the base of the candle salad, an arguably phallic dessert popular in the 1950s. You'll get it from this one. A type of cake named for this ingredient is distinguished by the fact that it is flipped over after being cooked. Come on, you've got to get it from that.
What?
Haven't you ever heard of a blah 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 upside down cake?
I've
I'm
heard of an upside
starting to
down
suspect
cake.
not.
I've heard of an
It's
upside down
not
cake.
banana, no. Yeah.
Turnip.
Not. And we finally got the right answer from M. Ball out in the peanuts. Thank goodness it's pineapples. Well done, Alan and M. Ball.
I've never enjoyed
Pineapples, yes.
No.
Identify this tropical fruit which was cultivated by James Dole in Hawaii and does not belong on pizzas.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It does not belong on pizzas.
Yeah.
See,
It's pineapples.
The problem is that I don't know enough about the fruit to know how, because the fruit is what's used in the architectural thing, not necessarily the plant that it comes from.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was kind of like part of the.
Now I'm trying to remember what's on the top of the Elden Ring Memorial.
It's an urn, but my ex
Of course it is, yes.
But my ex always used to call it the pineapple.
Driven past it enough bloody times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Now you know why.
Yeah, it's like a 100-foot tall bloody column with a big urn on the top.
That's right, yeah.
War memorial, right at the side of the A11, and my ex always called
You
it.
didn't even mention that there's
pineapple.
one up in Queensland somewhere.
I'm
big
sure
one,
there are
a
big
big one.
pineapples all over the world.
No, a big one.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. I'm sure you'll find big pineapples everywhere. Yeah. Okay, question 7. To protect the expansion of this initiative, thousands of women dressed as teddy bears and witches and then chained themselves to a fence at a so-called common. What was this initiative that they were so dead against? Yeah.
Why do you dress as teddy bears and witches? What a bizarre combination.
Yeah. Not nuclear disarmament.
I can't stop spelling that word.
Maybe that's what they were for. But Margaret Gowing is best known for studying this initiative, whose early successes including Operations Hurricane and Grapple. Not nuclear power. That would be correct in a way, Alan.
Because
That is also correct,
I'm
Farmer's
absolutely
Boy.
certain I know which common.
Yeah, I know which
Yep.
common it is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. You're right.
And I know why they were all there. It was that
God, yeah, that was. Remember that being all
Yeah.
over the news.
because I was very lucky to avoid having to go and do a stint down guarding the wire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 4 identically worded handwritten directives known as letters of last resort are used as a powerful deterrent by this initiative. Men's peace camp, no. Nuclear explosions overground, kind of, but not really. This initiative was responsible for the devastating Windscale fire. Not solar dildos.
Oh dear.
A memorandum by Otto Frisch and Rudolf Peierls prompted the creation of the Maud Committee to research for this initiative, which was once headed by William Penny. Greenham Commons Women's Peace Camp and Lesbian Technology Symposium.
I think that's a very broad brush to paint them all as lesbians.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
They kind of were.
Yeah.
Well, some of them were,
Yeah.
I'm sure, yes.
Yeah. This initiative's Polaris program was later replaced by the current Trident program.
Oh, yes. Well, that should give it away.
Yeah, it should, yeah. I think I'd kind of like accept John Rapp's answer there. I reckon that's close enough.
Yeah.
Nuclear testing, or it was the British Nuclear Armament Program. All right. Members of this initiative, Tube Alloys Project, later contributed to the Manhattan Project. Name this initiative that arms Royal Navy submarines with ICBMs. It was the British Nuclear Weapons Program. Yeah.
Yes, Greenham Common.
Yeah, although of course they were American bloody nuclear weapons, weren't they? At Greenham Common.
Yes. Yes, they weren't ours. They were theirs.
That was the thing. The whole Greenham Common thing, which was the biggest thing they ever did, was American, not British.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it was actually nuclear weapons being deployed in the UK was their thing.
And then you bastards couldn't even test your own weapons over there. You had to come and explode them in Australia.
We're not going to bloody test them over here, are we? Good grief, we're not that stupid.
Where are we gonna find an area big enough to test one of them?
In your backyard.
Actually, I suppose we could have sacrificed Newcastle, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well,
Or maybe
that's a good
Liverpool.
point. Yeah.
You know, there are one or two cities that we could probably afford to turn to glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Question 8. Tanya Murray Lee's 2014 book Land's End discusses how the recent shift towards this crop in the Lowy Highlands has led to the privatisation of land and increasing inequality. What is this crop? I'm waiting for someone to say marijuana and I'm saying no.
Good man, you want some Ganga?
Not palm oil, no.
That does enough damage everywhere else, doesn't it? Why do you make so
Yeah,
much
it
racket
does,
for,
yeah.
Cat?
Yeah. Frosty pod rot and a namesake swollen shoot virus are serious diseases affecting this crop. Not bananas, no. Products of this crop are hung in a bag in the Broma process, while the Van Houten family pioneered the use of a hydraulic press and alkaline salts to process this crop. Not oilseed rape, no. They don't call it that over here anymore. They call it canola.
Well, we still call it that over here, and that's not how you know.
Yeah. You're right, Farmer's Boy. That is the correct answer. Not coffee beans, Alan. No.
Yeah, well, you know.
Oh, good. The cat's buggered off again.
I suppose it helps to be a farmer, or at least a farmer.
Yeah.
At least the son of a farmer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm not a farmer, but I do know a bit about it.
Yeah. The Harkin-Engel Protocol has been largely ineffective in combating child trafficking and slavery used to produce this crop. What crop is it? It's not rubber, but you are right. First death. It is cocoa or cocoa beans. Well done to Alan and First Death out there. A new method
Alan,
for
you mean
processing.
farmers?
Yeah, farmers, sorry.
So I said coffee, not
yeah,
cocoa.
sorry, yeah. A new method for processing a ruby version of this crop was introduced in 2017. West Africa produces 2/3 of the global output of this crop, the largest export commodity of the Ivory Coast. Fermented and ground to produce a thick liquor, which can then be separated into fatty butter and a bitter powder. That should have given it away. Making chocolate with it should have definitely given it away. It is cocoa beans.
And when you see the raw beans when they're harvested, you would not imagine for a minute that you get
that
chocolate
would
from
make
it.
chocolate. I know.
I mean, they don't
That's a
even look
bit-
like that. They look nothing like that when you pick them. It is.
And of course, coffee beans aren't beans either, are they? They're cherries.
Yeah. But quite how
it's the-
anybody looked at that
it's
plant
the
and
cherry
somehow
stone.
arrived with chocolate, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. The cocoa bean was the correct answer, yeah. Question 9. This system can deal with performance degradation using the AIMD feedback algorithm, which leads to a characteristic sawtooth behavior. What is this system?
No idea. Oh, see you, Jinx. Jinx is off.
Okay. Reno, New Reno, and Tahoe are variants of an algorithm that is part of this system. What is this system?
I don't know, but I can guess it's going to be something to do with CS.
Yeah. Those algorithms that are part of this system modify the CWND size throughout their fast recovery and slow start phases. No? Okay. Calculation of the RTO, or return to origin, in this system can be done by algorithms named for Phil Kahn or Van Jacobson. What is this system? Not negative feedback, no. This system constantly advertises the window size and operates in units of the MSS. The additive increase, multiplicative decrease. The header for this protocol has a 16-bit urgent flag and a 32-bit sequence number field. Are you still there? I don't hear any noise.
Ain't got a bloody clue.
There you go.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah, but which specific one, Alan?
Oh God.
Oh, look, I
I
might as well
usually
say
just
it.
think of the one
They've-
that has the two initials.
Not the two initials, it's the one with 3 initials that I'm after. This protocol can abruptly close a connection with RST packets and sends ACK packets as acknowledgement of reception. This protocol guarantees in-order delivery, unlike another protocol that is also in the layer 4 or transport layer of the OSI model. What is this protocol? That is the correct one, Alan. Yes, you could have just said TC.
Oh, you
TCP.
would have taken the initials, would you?
Yeah, I would have taken the initials. That would have been fine. TCP is correct. Well done to Clive Wells, who got it first.
I
Yeah.
thought that's something you put on a cup.
No. Name this packet transport protocol built on top of IP. It is TCP. That's why they call it TCP IP. Yeah.
Indeed.
All right. And your last question for the day. In 2016, Foucher, Gigware et al. Predicted that galactic winds caused the abundance of this element in distant quasar mass halos. What is this element?
Galactic winds.
Yeah.
What could they be punting about? Talking of punts, let's take a punt.
That's not the right punt, Alan, but that is the right one, Farmer's Boy.
Hey, that'll do for me. I get back to basics.
Yeah. The effects of radiation damping can appear in certain systems where this element's column density is greater than 2 times 10 to the 20 atoms per square centimetre. And Clive Wells got it right, as well as Alan and Farmer's Boy First in the internal chat with hydrogen is the correct answer. Yeah. Emission lines of this element were studied by the Murchison Wide Field Array. Yeah.
I was just going to say atoms per square centimetre, but then I just realised it's column density, isn't it? So.
Column density, not a volume density. No, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. While observing the quasar 4C05.34. Wow, that's a good name, hey?
Catchy.
In 1970, Roger Linz discovered a series of absorption lines named for a transition of this element. Yeah, the presence of a Gunn-Peterson trough in quasars of redshift greater than 6 provides evidence for the reionization of this element. Yeah, it all these clues lead to hydrogen. Hydrogen is the correct answer for that one. Well done. That wasn't too hard a one anyway. And that's your quiz for the day.
Thank you very much.
All right. So there were some hard ones in that one.
Yeah. And some.
I like Dora's wins. Must be methane.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not an element. Right. Terry, I have to say thank you very much, but I need to go.
Okay then, Farmer.
Because I've had a phone call and he was ever so apologetic. My new fuel injectors turned up several hours ago and he forgot to call me.
Oh, no.
I said, that's okay because it was raining then, so I wouldn't have come anyway. But
The sun's come out now and you've got to get on the motorbike, haven't you?
correct,
Yeah.
to go and get them. So, yes. Thank you very much, but I need to bail out.
Righto,
Right.
Farmer. We'll catch you later on.
So,
Enjoy your bike ride.
well,
in the
hopefully,
sun.
hopefully it doesn't rain whilst I'm out.
No, you don't want it to do that.
No. Right then, guys, we'll catch you all later.
Later, Farmer.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Right. Ah. Alright. What do the peanuts want now?
They want entertaining, Terry.
Well, I'm not gonna answer that.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Blue's woken up.
yeah, I was out in the shop getting stuff together.
Got all that Cavendish packed up, Blue?
Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
It's all apart. And there are parts scattered all over the laboratory
So
slash garage.
So you've got little labels marked A, B, C, and aligned tab B with tab D, and
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, just like a Kia do.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm very careful when I do the woodwork stuff that I mark the corresponding mortise holes and tenons, because if you don't, you're screwed. I mean, you'll mess with
But
it
you have-
forever trying to figure out how to get which one goes in which hole. You know,
So
and
you
they're
have
all
to put the
custom fits.
So you have to put the spurving bearing in before you adjust the marsal vanes?
Yes, you do. To avoid side fumbling, yes, absolutely.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, it's all carefully labeled. It'll go back together pretty easily. Yeah, well, I took it apart alone in about an hour, so it's not a big thing. Hate to see it go, and I'll be glad to get it the hell out of my way.
Yeah.
Get your shot back.
Yeah.
Build a big Tesla coil next and make some lightning blue.
Huh? Yeah. I could do that.
Or be like I was reading a book about some a genius young kid. He ended up being a physicist, and when he was young, he went out and he collected a whole shitload of copper wire, and he literally built his own particle accelerator in his garage. He built a cyclotron in his garage, and his parents were mildly annoyed because he kept on blowing the fuses in the house.
I did silly crap like that when I was a kid too.
Yeah.
I don't know what led me to the conclusion that winding a Tesla coil on a 4-foot fluorescent tube was a good idea, but yeah, I ran into a few problems.
Oh boy.
John Rapp says I should leave out one fastener just to screw with them. That's, what's even more fun is to add an extra one in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they figure it's your fault when there's not enough fasteners. When you give them one or two extra, it's like, oh shit, what did I forget? Where does that go?
Where does that go? Yeah. Which hole does that go in? Yeah. You literally pull it all apart again, wondering where you've effed up.
Oh yeah.
We're coming up to summer here, right? And so we're servicing all the fogger lines and fogger pumps in the duck sheds. They've got to be working if the temperature gets over 30 degrees Celsius. The foggers come on. And so we're testing one of the pumps there, and there's a little bleed-off solenoid that when you start it up, if the pressure gets too great, this bleed-off opens up and lets the pressure down, because they operate at about 900 psi, right, which is pretty high pressure. And this solenoid wouldn't close, so it keeps on spraying water out the side of this pump and not putting it through the fogger nozzles. So my boss, he goes into the shed and he pinches a solenoid off another pump that he's got in the shed and puts it on, and it still doesn't work. And I said to him, why was that other pump in the shed? And he goes, because it didn't work. You idiot. You don't steal parts off of something that doesn't work to replace something that doesn't work, right?
Well, no, stealing parts off of something that doesn't work is acceptable, as long as
providing you're taking the parts that work off the thing that doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But when the one that doesn't work has been retired to the workshop because the same part on it doesn't work as what the one that's in the shed doesn't work, then there's no point doing that.
No.
Oh, we've got time for a couple of videos. I think we can squeeze in. Wally. Who else? Wolfie. What else is there? Got Facebook Science is Everywhere from Simon. And what's this there?
Oh, Blue, Judy Bassett is asking, will you visit its new home to film the setup?
In fact, I'll be delivering it to its new home and setting it up and filming it. I am planning on making a time lapse of that. What do you think about 3 seconds? 3 second exposures on
Yeah, that should be adequate.
Yeah, you should be all right. What I have discovered in doing time lapses, if you've got people walking around a lot, 1 second seems to be about right. If you go much longer than that, they do move around extraordinarily quickly. But I think for a build like you're doing, 2-3 seconds should be about right.
well, let's see, if I do 2 seconds, that'll be 30 frames a minute. And what's that, 1,800 frames an hour?
I'm trying to think.
30 times 60.
Hang on. If I do 1 second, when I do 1 second, I get 1,800 pictures and it's half an hour.
Right. So I would get 1,800 frames in 1 hour. So even a 2 hour time lapse like that would be only 3,600 frames. Well, that's a lot, but
what's that, about 30 frames per second?
Yeah, I mean it's a little better if you run at 24 or 25. But for 30,
well, if you think of it in terms of 30 frames per second video, right, and you're getting 30 frames per minute from your time lapse, I mean that's literally 60 times faster than normal speed. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll set it up on 2 or 3 seconds, I think, and I should still have a reasonable sized video file.
Yeah, your camera
can
be called time lapse video anyway, can't it? I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
I love this camera. I love this camera because it'll do the time lapse and it will assemble the video at the end of it. You don't have to do anything other than just tell it yes, you want it to make the video.
Yeah. So. It's no different to making any film that's sort of going to be. It's not going to run very. It's not going to run very long. Even if you've got two, like I said, when I do because of the size of my memory card, I'm limited to 1,800 frames because that's all I can get on the card. The way I shoot, so that means I'm ending up with about 30 seconds of video.
I can get a lot of stuff on this on these memory cards in this camera.
Yeah, well, because I'm doing it manually, I shoot in RAW format.
Yeah.
Especially because I'm doing, a lot of the time lapses I've done have either been just night sky, so long exposures anyway, or they're around sunrise, sunset. So again, you've got that. You've got that thing of the long exposures. So I want the advantage that RAW gives me in the bigger tonal range available, because you can get a bit more detail in the darks without blowing out the highlights.
Well, I've got a 128 gigabyte memory card in this camera.
Yeah.
And the one that's in it now's still got close to 100 gigabytes left on it. So one of my typical time lapses for the Cavendish would be 600 exposures, something like that. So if I do 2 hours of this, it like we were talking about, it would be only the equivalent of like 6 of those time lapses that I've done. And gosh, I can put 50 of those on there probably.
Yeah, it's not going to be something you need to worry about. My thing is that when I shoot a time lapse, because I'm doing it all manually, because my camera doesn't shoot video, what I'm doing is I'm shooting at RAW, so I'm actually recording, or saving to disk about 22 megabytes per frame.
Yeah.
But that does allow me a lot of leeway on what I can do with the images in post. And the thing is that the really good, anything that looks really good can also then get printed really big, because I've got a really good file to start from.
But yeah, back to the question, back to Judy's question. There will be a video made of it in time lapse fashion. I don't think anybody wants to sit and watch 2 hours of us screwing that thing back together. But if that gets condensed down into 4 or 5 minutes, or 2 or 3 minutes, that's fine. And then we'll get a lot of nice, just regular photographs of it too. So hopefully next week I'll be able to put something together and wrap things up.
Oh, we're ready for Wally.
I'm going to say, looks like we got a Wally here.
Cue the Wally.
Where's Wally?
I don't know. There's Wally.
Where?
I see Wally. I see him. Press play.
Yeah, he's just been in the sideshow.
G'day everybody, Where's Wally here? Well, Adam just put up another video, and this one's going to be the fastest debunk ever. But just to make it a little more interesting for you, I'm going to play a little bit from Adam and see if you guys can spot what Adam didn't. Now, I know he missed it as he didn't cut it out, and we all know Captain Cherry Pick would have certainly removed this had he had seen it. But alas, he didn't look close enough. Let's have a look.
Great, because the winners of the space race are going to destroy space for us. Bear with me. So let's have a look at Elon's SpaceX give the game away. It's fresh off the back of winning the space race, they're now going to destroy space for us. Essentially, this is filmed from the internal camera on the Dragon capsule, which has just jettisoned the Falcon 9 booster, as we can see on the screen. Pay particular attention to the space debris, which comes from our right side of the screen, coming across to the left-hand corner. When it gets to the left-hand corner, it goes straight through the Dragon capsule and goes straight out the other side without leaving a hole. Oops! So let's have a look. There goes the jettisoned Falcon 9 booster. Rounds of applause for his pantomime. And here comes, whoosh, and there goes the space debris, straight through. And again, watch it go straight through the bottom left-hand corner of the Dragon capsule.
Did you see it? Yeah, top right. Yeah, the trash was already inside the rocket body. So this is actually tiny and close, not far away. It's likely a tiny bit of frozen oxygen from one of the venting, a little bit of a mousepiece. And what makes this so easy is I actually debunked this whole thing way back in May. Adam, are you not watching my videos anymore? I am shocked. When I went looking at the other earlier launch, I saw this.
Dragon SpaceX with that separation call. We have a few words for you from our...
More itty bitty bits just floating around. And these were inside the Stage 2 rocket body as well. So this is what you saw, Adam, but once again, you jumped to the wrong conclusion, unsupported by science. So your devastating space debris was really just very close and moving from side to side inside the rocket body. And it was rather out of focus too, Adam, which is why it looks so circular. I thought it looked odd when I first saw it. You can even see it originate up in the front right-hand side in amongst all that pipework, Adam. So why do you keep making up stuff? Is it because of... What's the word that best applies to you, Adam?
Desperation.
Yes, thanks, mate.
I don't entirely know exactly what's going on.
Well, look, that was over and done with rather quickly. A little bit disappointing when it's that fast. To make this a little bit interesting, let's apply some of Leo's logic. Right back at him. It's kind of funny, Leo, you're talking about the space race for tourism here, yet you didn't seem to touch Inspiration 4 yet again, even though you were talking about space race tourism and the billionaires. I wonder why. You went back a couple of months to find something. Huh. Was the inspiration too hard for you? Well, Adam, I'm going to challenge you. I challenge you, Adam, to debunk the following clips, any one of them, from Inspiration 4. You've got 24 hours, buddy. If you don't, we will all read it as Leo saying, I can't. Wally, you've beaten me. I don't know how to do this one. You do know how to debunk Inspiration 4, don't you, Adam?
I don't even know what to do.
Yeah, I thought so. Your move, dear boy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, the sound. Molly just reminded me. I wasn't aware of that one. I hope it didn't play for too long. I'll get a copyright claim on that. No, my luck. Yeah, too late. Yeah, that's right, Wally. Oh no. Oh. Nothing I can do about it now. Oh, I've only got time for one more. I'd say Wolfie's one. And then that'll do us. Flat Earth is in damage control over QF14. As usual, they botched it. It seemed to be safe. You didn't get one. Okay. Yeah, you might not have got one. I may have got one. Yeah, I know. That's what happens, John. Sometimes things like that happen. It's weird.
Yeah. Don't forget to unmute before you hit play.
Yeah.
Then hit play.
So 2 weeks ago I posted this video about Qantas 14, a repatriation flight to bring stranded Australians home from South America. Of note, this is the longest single sector undertaken by the airline. And here is the route plotted correctly on the globe. As you can see, once the aircraft departed Argentina, it travelled south, crossing the edge of Antarctica before heading north again into Australia. So here is the route on Flight Radar 24, which uses the Mercator map, and we can see again the flight going south from Argentina, crossing the edge of Antarctica and then north back up into Australia. Now I have to point out that this flight actually departed at 12:44 p.m, so just after lunchtime. Now we know at that time of the day we're in broad daylight, so the astute observer would see that the night depiction here is incorrect. And the reason it is like that is because Flight Radar is using the system time on my computer, which is currently set to UTC +8 because I'm here in Perth. So the day and night position depicted here is incorrect. To see it properly, we need to set the system time on my computer to UTC. So let's do that. So here is the current UTC time, 04:43 on the 19th of October. I have set my computer's system time to match. If we go back to Flight Radar, we can see that this night position is still incorrect. However, when I do a refresh, the problem will disappear. The actual departure time for the flight was 12:44 p.m, basically in the middle of the day. And now we can see the position of the sunlight and the night matches correctly. So when you play back the flight, we can see that the aircraft was in daylight for the entire trip, landing just before sunset in Darwin, Australia. So if you're looking for this flight on Flight Radar 24, you will need a paid subscription because they remove it on free accounts after a number of days. Fortunately, NASA purchased a gold subscription so that I could make this video, but you have other options. There are numerous other tracking sites, and this one, Radar Box, allows you to see QF14 for free. Now this flight by Qantas and my video seem to have upset a number of flat earthers, with some of them going into damage control. Our old friend Banjo has produced 3 response videos in the last week alone. We're going to look at some of the claims he makes about this flight. Much of the content in his videos is just complaining about the situation in the world. And I actually felt sorry for him because in the last video he sounds completely defeated. Banjo, if the shape of the Earth is making you so unhappy, you should probably focus on other things for a while. We'll talk about that later. Now this particular flat earther still promotes the AE map as the accurate shape of the Earth. I realise that many flat earthers disagree with him, and I respect that. This is the Wikipedia page for the AE map, where we can see it is just a projection of the globe anyway. The obvious problem that this flight creates for this map is why did they take this route? From Argentina to Darwin, the shortest route and the safest route would have been to fly north across North America, close to the North Pole and down to Darwin. In addition to being a shorter distance, we also have plenty of options in the event of an emergency. Flying south, skirting the edge of Antarctica and then coming north, there are no emergency diversion airfields in that area, plus the distance is a lot further. So the problem flat earthers now have is finding a good reason for the aircraft to take that route on the flat Earth. On our globe, it's not an issue. It makes perfect sense why they took that route. On the globe, it is the shortest distance. So the best argument he could come up with to explain this flight is that the aircraft took this route to take advantage of the jet streams. Now, the jet streams are high velocity wind currents that occur at the altitudes that airliners typically fly. However, there's a problem. The prevailing direction of the jet stream is from west to east. Here you can see the polar and the subtropical jet stream in each hemisphere is flowing from west to east. In Eddie's video, if we go back slightly, he has a big arrow indicating 250 mile per hour tailwind at that point. But let's take a look more closely because he's not being entirely honest. Now, despite putting this big arrow in his video, the flat earther claims that we don't really know the strength of the wind in this location. That is not entirely true. If we go to the source, we can see that most of the wind lines are green. If we pull up the menu, we have a scale. And at the high end of the green scale, the wind speed is around 56 to 57 miles per hour. Stronger winds are a different colour, and yet we're not seeing any of them in this map. Now, the other problem is that we are looking at the 1000 hectopascal level. The higher we go in the atmosphere, the thinner the air, because the atmosphere has a pressure gradient. 1000 hectopascals is essentially ground level. What he should have done is select the 250 hectopascal level, which is where the jet streams actually are. But clearly he didn't do that because the jet streams are going in the wrong direction, and that will completely defeat his own argument. By selecting the 1000 hectopascal level, he has defeated it anyway, because there are no winds here doing anything close to 250 miles per hour. So, ignoring all the conspiracy theory nonsense, these are the three main points that he makes in relation to the flight. Number one, the aircraft used jet streams to cover the distance in the specified time. That is now debunked because the jet stream is going the wrong way. The next point he makes is that the aircraft moved noticeably faster near Antarctica on Flight Radar 24. Let's have a look at that. So we're now back at Flight Radar 24, and I'm just going to move this slider to progress the flight. It certainly does appear that it speeds up as it approaches Antarctica, and then slows down again as it heads towards Australia. Now, anyone who understands how the Mercator map works will know the reason for this already. The scale is not consistent, and that is why Antarctica looks far larger than all of the other continents put together. So here is an excellent site for demonstrating the change in scale on this type of map. thetruesize.com. We can select any country and move it around the map. If I take the contiguous 48 and move them further north, you can see how quickly the size and the shape changes. If I move it south of the equator towards the South Pole, the same thing happens. Now, looking at Australia, if we consider a flight from Sydney across to Perth, typically that takes 4 hours. So with Australia in this position, the aircraft will move from here to here in 4 hours. But if we move it to a different part of the map, you can see how Australia suddenly looks much larger. And now the aircraft is going to move from here to here in 4 hours. Because the scale has changed, that will result in an apparent faster movement of the aircraft. It is a very educational site. As you can see, I have selected Antarctica, and despite looking like a huge landmass, when we move closer to the equator, we have a more realistic comparison with the other countries. If we take Australia and put it over the United Kingdom and Europe, you can see that a flight from Sydney to Perth is basically like flying from London to Moscow.
So clearly this type of map has its limitations, and it seems to cause no end of confusion for flat earthers. It is no mystery though, it is because the Earth is actually spherical, and projecting the surface of the Earth onto any flat surface will result in distortions. As we have stated many times, the only way to accurately show the size, shape and proportion of the continents is on a globe. So the aircraft didn't really speed up at all as it approached Antarctica. It only appears to do so because the scale of the map changes. If we look at the actual posted ground speed, that remains fairly consistent during that portion of the flight. So point number 2, the aircraft moved noticeably faster near Antarctica, as you would expect on a Mercator map. Point number 3, the aircraft was travelling faster than the Sun near Antarctica. So clearly the flat earther didn't realise that he had to set his computer time zone to UTC in order for this night position to be displayed correctly. But that doesn't really matter for his next claim. During the course of the flight, this area of night was moving steadily westward at the rate of 15 degrees per hour. And that is because the Earth rotates at 15 degrees per hour. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Now the claim is that when the aircraft was near Antarctica, it was overtaking the Sun, and the flat earthers believe that this required extra speed from the jet streams, and also that the aircraft was capable of flying at speeds that we are not told. On the globe, none of that nonsense is required. It can overtake the Sun quite easily, just travelling at a steady 450 knots. And that is explained by simple geometry. And the key is 15 degrees per hour. So thanks to the magic of Chrome Remote Desktop, we're now looking at the screen on my astronomy laptop. This software, GS Server, is what I use to control the mount. If we look at the settings, we can see the various tracking rates. Sidereal rate is used for tracking the stars, lunar rate obviously for the moon, and solar rate is when we are tracking the Sun. You can see that is an even 15 degrees per hour. So it doesn't matter where we are on the Earth, we would use the same rate, 15 degrees per hour, because the Sun is moving across the surface of the Earth at that rate no matter where you are. And I think you can already see where I'm going with this. As long as we are flying west at more than 15 degrees of longitude per hour, we will be overtaking the Sun. At the equator, 15 degrees of longitude is 900 nautical miles. So that would require more than 900 knots to achieve this. But as you can see, when we move away from the equator towards the poles, the spacing between longitude reduces. At 60 south latitude, the cosine of 60 is 0.5. So the spacing between longitude is half of what it is at the equator. And that means 15 degrees of longitude at this position is only 450 nautical miles. If we are flying at 450 knots, which is a typical airline speed, we will be matching the Sun. If we go further south, we will actually be overtaking the Sun at 450 knots. So point number 3, the aircraft was travelling faster than the Sun near Antarctica. To achieve this, we only need to fly faster than 15 degrees of longitude per hour. At 70 south latitude, 15 degrees of longitude equals 308 nautical miles. So at just 308 knots, we would match the Sun, but at 450 knots, we would catch and overtake it easily. Once again, the globe does not need to make excuses. It does not have to invent non-existent jet streams. It does not have to use aircraft that are capable of secret speeds faster than we are told. A normal aircraft flying at 450 knots at a southerly latitude like that can easily cross 15 degrees of longitude per hour, and therefore it will catch up and overtake the Sun. That is how it works on the globe. So the fact that we actually saw that in flight aware using normal aircraft cruising speeds confirms the globe geometry. So at this point it's worth mentioning a great video on Where's Wally's channel titled Greater Sapien, The Day the Sun Stood Still, QF63, Sydney to Johannesburg. Back in January 2019, Greater Sapien came from the USA to Australia to take a flight over Antarctica. On the way home, I bought him a ticket from Sydney to Johannesburg. On that trip, he recorded the entire flight with a bad ELF GPS, which confirms the aircraft did not fly at ridiculous speeds, and he was able to observe with his own eyes the sun actually standing still. So we do the observations ourselves. We don't just make the claims, we have the data to back it up. Take a look at Where's Wally's video. He does a brilliant analysis of the flight, and you can download the KML file yourself right here. So on a personal note, Banjo, I think you need to listen to your last video again, objectively. You sound depressed and defeated. I think you need to ask yourself, what are you getting out of Flat Earth? How much time did you spend on these 3 videos? And what did it achieve? You made yourself and your followers look silly, and now everybody is laughing at you. Focus on what will make you happy, mate. Happiness is a choice. You have a wife and daughters, I believe. Focus on them. They will make you happy. It doesn't matter how bad the situation is in the world. You will always find happiness in the love of your family. As an example, look at your attitude towards Australia. You don't even live here. I live here. We're having a great time, thanks. I don't know why you have such a negative attitude. I think that's more a projection of your own inner feelings. You have a depressed, negative attitude towards life. So everything you see goes through that filter. I'm the opposite. Doesn't matter how bad things get, I'm always happy. So I'm going to leave you with some happy images of my personal life, and I challenge you to produce a video showing yourself with your family, your wife and your daughters, actually out having fun, not being depressed about the situation in the world, but actually enjoying each other's company. All the best, mate. Peace.
Thank you, baby love. You're my super wonderful husband.
Okay, Emma, let's practice the planets. The Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, the Moon, Mars, the big one, Jupiter, the one with the rings, Saturn, very good. Then Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Very good. What did you see? Wow, what's this? Come on, Emma, it's time to go home.
No, Daddy. Otherwise, I will become aggressive.
You'll become aggressive? Do you want to stay here? Okay, I guess we better stay here then. I don't want you to become aggressive. Emma, show me how you become aggressive. Oh, that's pretty scary. Anything else?
No.
Okay. What have you got there, darling?
The ice cream.
The ice cream. What flavour did you get? Rainbow ice cream. Look at you. And there's my beautiful darling.
Super love my dog.
Super love you too. Thank you, darling. What about you? Do you have anything to say to your daddy? No. Okay.
The Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Moon, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto.
That's so good. I'm so proud of you. That's
Yeah, that is a point. you do see a lot of these flat earthers out there that are just seem so angry. I thought I was muted then. Makes it hard to debate them when they're angry like that. Well, we're going to have to finish up there, guys.
Hmm.
I wonder if there's a dating... What? I wonder if there's a dating service for nice... Nasha Shields. Dora wants to know. I don't know, let us know, Dora. Have a look.
I think Alan's gone to sleep.
Alan!
Yes. I am here. I am awake. Ish. Oh, sorry. I had a really bad night's sleep last night. Again. Probably to do with the fact that I was a bit absolutely shattered from the weekend, and I vaguely woke up yesterday morning and then slept till 2:30 in the afternoon. So,
Yeah, I've been having to get up really early in the mornings last several days. And I've got to get up early in the morning again.
I do too, Terry. What's early for you?
6:30.
Yeah, same here. I've got to get up at 6.
so I guess I was snoring, was I?
No, you weren't snoring. No snoring happened. It was just heavy breathing. You could tell.
Oh, yeah, there was a little bit of breathing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, breathing is always bloody good.
Yep.
Well, if you weren't breathing and making snoring sounds, Alan, we would be worried.
I'm going to say, lack of breathing tends to be fatal, of course.
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, if you stop breathing, you should probably tell somebody.
Yes.
Yeah. And like Terry said, if you stopped breathing but you're still making snoring sounds, that's even more worrisome.
Quite how you do that, I'm not sure.
Neither do I.
It would involve different orifices.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Yeah, I can do without going there. Thank you very much. After the last month I've had.
How big is dog? There's a 6:30 in the morning.
There is.
Yeah.
It's that time period between when it's dark and when it's light.
Yeah.
And a power nap for Blue just for lunch. Okay. There's Dora. A nice nap for you, Alan, before dinner.
Yeah, I barely have time for a nap before dinner now, because Sam will be here to do dinner at about 4:45. Because it being Wednesday, the bed linen gets changed, and so Sam has to make the bed now instead of it being made this morning.
Okay.
Because
Right. Well, I've said me goodbyes out there. Oh, thanks, Alan. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Carl Bosch. Thanks, Big Blue.
Yep.
And his faithful friend.
You're welcome.
There's the
He's
cat.
still looking for
Where's
that
the cat?
damn cat.
Where's the cat? Where's the cat?
Yeah.
Lucky you haven't got the speakers on and you hear somebody say, "Where's the cat?"
He was trying to jump through the window a few minutes ago and get the birds that are out in the yard.
Oh, okay. Oh, thanks, Dora, Biggest Doggers, Stevie B, John, Death, Judy, Dart, Genuism, Volley, Zebulon, Jasper, Ian Ma. Oh, Ian Ma looks like it was a bit late. He said somewhere earlier. Death, Fondle, Clive, Stewie, John Rapp, M Ball. Did I say Clive? Jinx you. No Carl tonight, no. I didn't see Carl. I don't know what's happened to Carl lately. Yeah, that's all. Oh, and don't forget M2N there earlier. I think I got everybody. No, Jose's there. 3 more hours. No, Jose, I'm not going to stay up that late. You're too late. Need to do them earlier. or the night before. Alright then. Night panel. Night peanuts.
Good night, Peanuts.
Night, Peanuts.
Oh, the death too. Yeah, latest you, rock on dude.